Okay, I'll call the meeting to order for Monday, June 24th, 7 o'clock. Select-board meeting. Review agenda for additions, removal, or adjustments of any items for one VSA.
We do have one item to add, and that is the bid for the cruiser. And I think you saw something in your packet there about that. And the police chief is recommending that we accept the one bid that has been received. So we can either put that under other business or...
Can I call it 1A? Do it then?
1A under other business?
Regular business?
Regular business or other business?
I'd call it other business.
Other business, okay.
I don't care, I'm just asking you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cruiser.
So it can be two under other business.
That's what I put.
One,
Yeah. There you go.
1 and 2. Okay. Public forum. Public can speak for less than 5 minutes or more, or less. Go ahead. 5 minutes.
Okay, time.
Hi, thanks for the time. I'm here to concerned about the spraying of poisons in our town. I know Patty Heatherly came in last meeting. I was out of town. Unfortunately couldn't come with her that time. But I was with her when that little thing that transpired with the pregnant mother and the kid and the dog were either on or right next to the recently sprayed little bit of, I would call it public access ground. It invites you in, there's a bench there and such. And it was just sprayed with poisons less than 2 hours before. So I know she went through all this, so I don't want to rehash it too much, but I'm wondering what you guys thought about that. Since I wasn't able to come, and if you've taken any action, or what are you thinking about that?
I'll let the board comment. I'm going to excuse myself because I'm an employee of the National Bank of Middlebury. Pomelo is our landlord.
All right, well,
So I'll let the board speak.
good.
And we haven't really discussed it further, you know, initially. I mean, I didn't really know too much about who was doing the spraying and what it was they were spraying. So we haven't, you know, we looked at Patty's letter, but haven't had a chance to discuss it. So we haven't done anything yet.
Okay. Well, let me just add a little bit because I mean, we did look it up a little bit, and it's something called Razor Barricade, and that's what the man said. And there's some glyphosate in it, and you know, there's these. I think we all know now. I hope that these types of compounds are not good for the health of anybody. And when they're particularly sprayed right in our downtown and in an area that, you know, a baby or a child can go in, they put these little signs up. I know. But they're very, the lady didn't see it, no kid's gonna see it, no dog's gonna see it. And all this, I can imagine the dog taking some of that stuff home, people petting it, whatever. Kids kiss their dogs, I don't care. You know, things could happen. So I think it's a bona fide issue. And so I would like you to consider it and come up with, I would like to hear a little response, but if you think it's like worthy or not, you know. So that's that part of it. My next question is, does the town spray any pesticides or herbicides in the day, like did any budget go to herbicides spraying or pesticide spraying at all?
Not that I know of.
That's good.
No.
Yeah. So no road crews, no...
Not like the state does where they spray around the back of the guardrails.
Yes, but so nothing on our park or nothing at the rec field or nothing, nothing. That's very good.
There may be, when we do the Emerald Ash Borer hearing,
It would
There's
be, it's not a spray, it's an injection, like an intravenous application.
injection.
Well, I think there's some good uses for it. I'm not
Sure.
completely, but
We haven't decided that either. But after the public hearing, we'll make a decision on that.
I guess my last comment is that I think science is telling us that it's really bad, probably for humans, or it's getting pretty close to proven, but we know it's really bad for all of our pollinators, all of our little bugs in the ground that make our soil healthy. So I think any chance that we can, and I'm really happy to hear that we don't use it as a town, so thank you very much. But also, you know, a lot of people spray it on their yards and stuff, and I don't just, I mean, I guess my dream would be that Bristol would choose to not allow that, and I think it's possible. It's a health and wellness type of safety issue. I think that your board probably has some ability to regulate. Of course, that would raise all sorts of, I know it wouldn't be easy for you, but I still think it's something to think about, and maybe we'd have a nice, healthy, forward-looking community if we chose, or if you guys chose to think about that and maybe like, do your best to reduce it whenever we can. Because, you know, again, the finish, people are right there, and the guy sprayed less than 2 hours before. Little kid, 13-month-old kid, pregnant lady, dogs, you know.
Yeah.
All
Could
these
you please
people.
introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Slim
Slim
Pickens.
Pickens. Slim Pickens.
Oh.
He has a-
76 Mountain Street.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Slim, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think the biggest issue, and you've already said it would be difficult, is to regulate what goes on private property.
Sure.
And that could turn into a lot of litigation. And I'm not saying it's not worth looking into, but especially when you've got big pockets that you're working with against.
Sure, but
Yeah.
it has been done. There are towns of greater size than Bristol that have taken this on, and
So there is case history of
absolutely.
As an aside, some of these poisons affect only insects.
And that's bad enough. We're dying.
But if we
Let me
have
tell you.
the issue with the baby and the dog and all the rest of that, mammals aren't affected by a lot of these.
Okay, well, a lot of, you know, the Bayer that owns Monsanto now is finding that they're losing case after case after case, at least juries. And I
That's
know what we
legal.
all.
That has nothing to do with reality.
Oh, it has something to do with reality. Somebody must be putting forth a good argument. And one can only imagine that poisons might hurt a baby. I mean, I know that maybe it hasn't been proven to your degree of proof, but it's not disproven either. Let's at least agree on that. And it could cause a real problem.
So what I had suggested to Patty last year when she brought this to my attention was that the town currently does not have any authority to tell private property owners how to manage their property in that way, but the public could communicate with the property owners and express the public's concern directly as consumers, as customers, and maybe that might have some influence.
Well, okay, two parts to an answer here. Patty has
Oh,
trouble.
I know.
It basically gets laughed at. So
Right.
this is why
I
we've come
understand.
here, thinking maybe the power of the government would have a little more effect. And are you telling me that this board doesn't have the power to write?
There's no regulation currently.
Currently, right? But you
We
that
currently
could
have no
happen.
authority.
Yeah.
We have no authority. State statute-wise, we have no authority.
Right, but you could write a statute, have it passed, let's say.
No,
at
the
meeting
state
or whatever.
writes the statutes. The town doesn't write statutes. We write
Town?
policies and procedures. We don't write statutes. That's a
I
Vermont
think
state.
he
that's
means
the
an
government.
ordinance.
Or
ordinance.
ordinances,
Right.
right. And an ordinance saying we did blah, 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 and then Pomelo would
I
not.
think we
be
could,
able to.
at least the board could send a letter to Palmelo and said, on behalf of the citizens, we've had some citizens' complaints, and we'd like you to be more cautious or restrict. Not, we can't use the word restrict, but I'll be right up front, transparent. We do hire working at the bank to spray our foundation around
Yeah.
for ants. We have a lot of ants that come in.
And so are our friends.
I'm glad they're yours, they're not mine. But we do the spray around the foundation, and we don't, but it's not, nobody can sit on the foundation, it's right up against it.
Time for me to go,
Yes, it's
but
time for you.
I've already
If you'd like to talk
tried.
about it, put it on the agenda for later.
I'm, okay, all right, but, okay, I've done enough.
We hear you.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other
Appreciate
public
it.
forum? Hearing none, okay. Public hearing alleged dog ordinance violations. We have up first is our one, is that up in the notch, Travis Manning's?
Yes.
Yeah, Vincent Drive.
Vincent Drive, yes. Potential vicious dog running at large, and see you in your packet, you sent a letter to, and he signed for the letter. So he got it, but hasn't come in and registered any dogs.
Is there anybody here representing Travis Manning? Or the issue at all? And you are?
I'm Matthew Barron, I filed a complaint.
Great.
Oh, you filed it on the Manning dog? You
Yes,
have
sir.
a couple more, that's why I had to make sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like to go up and speak and tell us what
My complaint speaks for itself.
you were in a couple weeks ago, too, weren't you?
No, sir.
We hadn't read your letter, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We've had
So
feedback.
I haven't seen the dogs in a couple weeks, that's been very positive.
Yeah, I did just leave you a phone message. You
you
probably
did?
on your way
Okay.
here, but I wanted to find out if anything had changed.
Just that I haven't seen the dogs in a few weeks, so it hasn't been a problem.
Well, that's
Are they still there?
I couldn't tell you, I don't know.
Is he still there?
I believe he is,
So
yes.
somebody still left the place?
Yes.
It's time for the letter.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. So, I think at the minimum, we need the dog warden to go up and say, you and the dogs were headed to the get them registered with the town. They need to be registered so we can check them for vaccine.
Well, I think Bruce
the minimum.
might need to go with him.
Well, I didn't say no, he didn't have, he may want to take a badge with him,
Yeah.
a person with a badge, but I think, because if they're not registered, they're probably not vaccinated.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying
And,
they're not, but they probably are not. So,
and he's already been noticed, so he's actually in violation of that, so technically we could issue a ticket. You know, at the same time. I don't know if the board wants to go that route or not, but that's what our
Well,
ordinance says.
let's start with making the contact and getting them registered, and I would ask you or any of your neighbors, if you do see them, to call the town office immediately, so that if further action needs to be taken, right then. I think it's great news if you haven't seen them.
yes, they might have put them somewhere else. Okay. Another one's been going on a couple of weeks, I
So,
think.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry. Another one's been lingering on, Nancy Purley's, and did not answer the letter.
Correct. And I left a phone message and haven't heard back. So it could be that she's still not back.
Have you talked to,
The neighbors about the
the complainant?
dog barking?
Just the complaint and it's, the dog is still barking.
Even like
No.
within this week?
Yeah.
Okay, have we
Well.
sent anybody up to at least knock on the door or
Yeah,
if anybody's
that's my
home?
suggestion, is just somebody go up, knock on the door, if she's out of town and it's a house sitter or whatever,
I don't think there's a house sitter there all the time. That's the problem. I think they come and let the dog out or let him in, out, whatever, feed him, take care of him, and then leave. But I don't know who that is.
Could we ask, I don't wanna put any more in their pocket, police department, but could we ask them to stop a couple of times evening in the daytime and knock and say, hey, now you're home. You need to, not to do the dirty work, just say, you need to come call the town offices about your dog. There's been complaints for 2-3 weeks.
Leave a note on the window on the door or
Or
something.
we leave a note on the door, something.
well, certified letter should do that.
Yeah, but if she doesn't accept it, it's just gonna come back.
She hasn't accepted the letter yet,
Did it come back?
No,
No.
or didn't come back.
no, nothing at all.
Right,
So,
they'll attempt so many times and then it'll be refused.
right.
Okay, our third one, seems like they've been coming in threes here lately. Paul and Janet Hill, nuisance dog barking, and I believe there's a couple here.
Can we approach?
You sure can, come right up.
This isn't court. You don't
Try to keep it as professional as possible.
That's all I thought too.
That's all.
The place just to the south.
Hopefully, we're not that
You're the
intimidating.
place just to the south of the.
We are just to the north of the complaint.
Oh, the Nelson.
Yeah, we actually don't know who, we don't have the names of the complainees. I had requested information, but I didn't receive it. I know that one of these Town of Bristol animal complaint forms were filed, but we never received that information as far as, when the dogs were barking, the frequency, what the dates and times were, things of that nature. So if we could receive that information, that would definitely help us in the future to prevent that type of incident. And so that way we don't have to come back here again.
The complaint was not that specific. It
Okay.
was, it started last summer and continues daily for hours. Was
Okay.
the description.
See, it's been going on for a whole year, but we just barely got notified of it. And if it didn't stew that long, I think we could have
Oh yeah, we definitely, we could
remedied
have
the
nipped this in the
situation
bud,
before.
a year ago, as the complaint letter says. I mean, no one ever attempted to make contact with us via a knock on the door, or talking to a different neighbor, or leaving a letter on our mailbox or our car. There's a lot of ways to communicate these days. So if we would have been, I mean, we're both busy. We work full time. We have kids. But if someone would have brought it to our attention prior to a year later, we definitely could have tried to stay ahead of the issue.
According to the complainant and others, attempts had been made, but were rebuffed. And,
No.
and we received this today from Matthew Perello, letter carrier for Bristol, that the dogs at 112 North Street demonstrate aggressive behavior whenever I approach the house. They have chased me into the road on 2 occasions. Although the owners have been more attentive, their dogs are often on the loose with the family.
No, so we're always on the property with us. Our dogs are very, they come right to us when we call them. The mailman has shown a hypersensitivity to to the dogs,
Which is
just
understandable.
because
He's a
of their
male carrier.
size. They're big boys, but they're very, they listen really well. But we've asked him a couple times, like, hey, do you want to meet the dogs? Do you want to, like, to get to know them in a controlled environment? And he's like, no, that's not
And
acceptable.
so, out of respect of his wishes, we do, when we see the mailman coming, we put them inside the house immediately, or put them on
or
their,
chains.
or put them on their chain.
Yeah.
So that way, there's no way they can come in direct contact with him. So, chasing him into the road, we've never witnessed that.
No.
And the only time the dogs are outside, because there's no doggy door, is if we're home with them. That could possibly have something to do with the complainees. I know we had an issue on Sunday morning. We were taking a walk at 12:01 p.m. Saturday morning, I'm sorry, for the record. We're taking a walk at 12:01 p.m. and one of the complainees came out of his house yelling profanity, screaming at us from his driveway, saying, calling us over. And so we stopped and we talked and we were trying to be amicable and say, look, we understand you have an issue with our dogs. We're trying to work with them. We're eliminating outside factors. We're drawing shades. We're closing the doors. We're making sure windows are closed so they can't hear any noises outside.
We're taking them for walks.
Yeah,
more
we
frequently to get
increased
some of that
physical
energy.
activity, and we tried to explain that to him, and he just, the man wouldn't stop screaming at us. He just was yelling profusely from the end of his driveway, and I told him, I said, please lower your voice. We have a 4-year-old daughter with us, and he said, and I quote, every time I hear those dogs bark, I'm gonna walk my ass to the town office and file a complaint. And I said, you're more than welcome to do so. I said, that's fine. I said, but just please understand that we are trying to get this entire situation under control. Had it been brought to our attention prior to,
It was
2 weeks ago or so.
June 10th.
June 13th is when we got the letter. So had it been brought to our attention a year before that, in 2018, we definitely could have taken measures to rectify the situation. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, zero communication was brought forward to us. And I don't know why the complainants had stated they tried to communicate with us, because that wasn't the case. They could have simply left us a letter on our car door, the fence post, they could have communicated through one of our other neighbors. We are close with, and what's not in the complaint form is the other neighbors that surround, because I don't know if you're familiar with the corner of Deveno and North Street, the old Nelson house. There's houses literally that border the house all the way around. Across Deveno, across North Street, to the right of us, Sheldon and Jessica Steady, and then behind us. So the other homes on the other side don't have an issue with our dogs, but the people on the other side of Deveno Lane do. Now, they don't complain about the dogs that bark across the way or down the road or behind them, but they have an issue with our dogs. So I don't know if that's a personal matter because they don't know us. We're only been in town for a year. I have no idea because they unfortunately won't communicate with us. So really, this whole thing unfortunately could have been avoided if there was a better, avenue of communication prior to this whole thing unfolding.
I assume you're not home during the day all day long.
I am.
She is.
You're
She sleeps
home
during the
Yeah,
day.
I work nights, so I sleep 4 days out of the week. So I don't hear that habitual nonstop barking that the claim states. He's home 7 days a week, or I am if I'm
From
off.
5:30, I'm home from 5:30 at night until 0800
And they're
in the
not
morning.
barking, so-
They don't. The dogs do not bark from
So-
5:30 at night until 0800 in the
In
morning.
the ordinance, it says or the statutes, it says habitual nonstop nuisance barking. What is that?
What frequency
what
constitutes
frequency,
the
duration?
habitual nonstop barking? What's the frequency
Well,
that?
this was provided to us over the weekend. Let's see if it'll play.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the time?
Sunday.
No, we were home all day Sunday.
He was working on the house.
I was putting in 3 windows yesterday
I think it was emailed
or
on
the
Sunday.
weekend before.
No, this weekend.
No, she said this video, the pictures were taken
Was that
the day she filed the
Your
complaint.
dogs are inside the
Now,
house.
she said this was taken the day she filed the complaint.
She filed a complaint on the 10th,
This
right?
wasn't Sunday. This was the
Yeah.
day she-
So since this has been brought to our attention, we've, like I said, taken additional
We
measures
shut those
to.
windows.
We don't leave the windows open. We don't leave the blinds open. We close the doors. We make sure that they have no physical, environmental triggers from Deveno Lane. Because obviously you guys know, Deveno Lane's a very busy area. There's bikes, there's walkers, there's loud motorcycles, there's people revving their motors,
Can I ask you a question about the dogs barking
Yeah.
there? You said you were outside. Are they barking just to be outside with you? them
Well,
outside with you?
they,
So
no.
You didn't take them out?
No, we take them out with us all the time, that's the thing.
Because you said you were outside working and they were inside, and I just.
Well, I was putting in windows, so I had them all open.
Oh,
So
okay.
they were in and out with us, but
Okay,
we
but
were
windows,
home
I'm sorry.
physically with them all day yesterday. There wasn't a time throughout the entire day yesterday where we were not at home with the dogs. We were with them all day.
Not the same day, Joel.
Different Sunday.
Different Sunday,
Different
okay.
Have you had you have two dogs, one's a white dog.
Correct.
Because somebody said that the white dog came out of their yard about 5 weeks ago and attacked a woman who was jogging by and she sprayed him.
Are
Attacked a
you
woman.
kidding me? He would never do that.
That just, it says went after a woman
The-
jogging by and she
We're-
sprayed him in the face with a can of something and he
So
ran back.
do
and
we
said,
have
The white dog
ones-
came out of the yard about 5 weeks ago and went after a woman jogging by. She quickly sprayed it in the face with a can of something and she was carrying it, ran back into the yard.
Do we have the woman's name?
No,
Okay, and we don't have a statement from the woman.
no.
So
Not
that's
the one who
Just
sprayed.
somebody
That's
happened to see
hearsay.
it, right.
Yes.
From
I'm
the
just asking,
complaint, yeah.
I'm asking, did the
Okay.
dog come home and?
No, no.
Never-
Peter, you walk by there all the time.
I
You
do,
ever seen the
and-
dog?
I've seen them barking in that window when I go up Devon Lane, but I can't say that I went up there this morning at 6:30 and there was no barking.
Is it audible on the street?
Oh, yes,
Yeah, she
yeah,
said.
even with windows shut, it is.
Yeah,
But,
and we're actually in the process of changing those out with new triple pane, low energy windows, so that we're gonna have a better insulation value on that side of the house as well. So we're in the process of doing that. We're changing all the windows out in the
How
house.
about bark collars? Have you thought
That,
of those?
well, so what we're gonna do is, we're gonna install a new security system, because we want to have audible, digital recordings, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and what that's gonna allow us to do is, we're gonna get notifications on our phones, live time, 24/7, and we're gonna be able to speak to the dogs through the cameras, the wireless cameras in the house, and it's a pretty high-end system, it's not cheap, but we feel that's the next step to obviously protect our residents and also to keep the dogs at bay from barking. We want to try to definitely rectify this. We don't want this to continue. We don't want to have to come back and schedule hearings and do all that. You know, we don't want to waste your guys' time with it. You know, you guys got way bigger fish to fry. So we're gonna take the next step is invest in the security system. We're gonna install that next weekend. And we're gonna be able to have live feed monitoring 24/7 from our cell phones. And hopefully that will be like the final straw. Hopefully once that's installed, and we can literally speak to the dogs through our phones into the cameras, we can say, hey, be quiet, you know, stop, you know, and because they listen to us, they know our voices. And we're really hoping that'll be the final fix. So if it is, great, we won't see you guys again. If it's not, then obviously we'll try to take the next step as far as preventing it and
Good idea.
fixing it. Yeah, yeah, I mean, luckily we got people with that have had similar issues and they said that's something they've done and it worked. So,
Well, I'm satisfied that they're taking
Yeah.
steps.
Taking some remedies.
You're taking
And
it
I-
seriously.
And, you know, I think you,
Doing something about it.
yeah, and you said, you know, it might have started late last fall.
correct. Well, I think
You
it
know-
stated last summer.
But, you know, it's
complaint.
kind of like probably the neighbors up by UVM, you know, they kind of hear the noise and hear the parties. They finally get mad about it.
It's
They finally
students.
call. And this is probably thought, well, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say it. It's probably those neighbors. Well, hope it'll go away next week, and then next week, and then finally they've, you know, it snapped. They snapped.
Yeah.
I won't say they snapped, but they got, okay, I've had enough of this.
Well, they snapped. I mean, the guy was yelling pretty loud. He snapped. He lost it on Saturday.
But I'm glad to see your
You know, yeah, we were
let's
trying.
hope we don't see you in 30 days again.
No, yeah, no, that's not what we want. We want to fix it, and we don't want to have to see you guys again. So that's the ultimate goal, hopefully for everyone here.
I do want to acknowledge the correction that Michelle pointed out, that the audio was from when the complaint was first filed. And I also had a brief conversation with the complainant today, and she did say that it is improved.
Oh, good. So she's noticed.
This weekend, yes.
Oh, good. Well, and last week as well, because I think once we received the complaint on the 13th of June, that's when we took serious steps to close windows, close blinds, not allow any physical stimulants from the outside to affect the dogs.
Well, on that side of the house, because obviously the complaints are more on that side of the house, right?
all the complaints seem
Make
to
a
be
buffer.
directed from the south side of Devno. We're not receiving any complaints from the north side of us, which
The dogs can see out the windows on the north side or no?
no,
Well,
they can see out the
Sheldon's got
front.
dogs too, so.
They can see out the front window towards Sheldon's
Yeah.
house. They can see out the bay window, and then they can see it out a back side window towards Sheldon's fence. Yes,
All right. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
no
At
problem.
least you answered the appeal and showed up.
Oh, yeah,
As you can see
yeah.
by some of the other ones.
Hey, we don't take these types of things lightly. Trust me, as you guys don't either.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, good night.
Okay, request for funding support for Memorial Park Trail construction. Reporter is here.
Do you guys want to come up too?
Oh, you did?
Bring a chair.
Do you want to sit down? You're welcome to. I mean, do you want? Conservation Commission members. So, last time I talked to you, we were on the cusp of receiving the report from Timber and Stone, or maybe we had just
We just received it.
just
Brought one
received
copy
it.
with you.
Okay, right, and then I hope that you were able to get that digitally. I sent it out again if you wanted to look at it again. So I wrote a Recreation Trail Program grant for the $36,000 to reroute the steps, or reroute the trail so that we can avoid those steps. We didn't get the grant. And we didn't get the grant, just too many requests, you know, for
Too little money.
yeah. You know, they were very supportive of the project conceptually, encouraged us to consider applying again in the future, but, you know, that wouldn't be for a year. So, given that we are all super aware of how rickety those steps are, I'd love to try to see if we can pull the money together in other ways to fix that problem. But from a Bristol Trail Network standpoint, as you guys know, like, we don't have a source of income. You know, we don't have staff, we don't have programming. So I'm happy to continue to write grants for this type of thing, to oversee the, you know, construction, et cetera, if it comes to that. But there's no way that I can fund that. So what I was thinking for that $36,000 is if the Conservation Commission, who has an interest in the ecology of that area, could share some money. The Selectboard, I know you guys are very concerned about the safety of that site. And I want to go back to the Legion because they were very generous funding the report in the first place, and because it is a memorial park. So I have an appointment with them at the end of the month. But those were my thoughts, but really it's, you know, a town park, and it's up to you how you want to proceed with that. But I just wanted to bring you up to date as to where we are with possible funding.
If the stairs are that dangerous as is the walk over there, why isn't it posted?
That's a great question. I do think the
Keep
stairs...
people up there before somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, I think the stairs are dangerous. The bridge is fine in the short term. It wouldn't be the type of bridge you would want to build now because it's not up to code, but it's not going to break or fall, or nobody's going to get hurt crossing the bridge. But I do think the stairs are a concern, and I do think that's something you want to think about. And it's, you know, it'd be a shame if we can't reroute around that and get people to the bridge another way in the short term. But it probably should at least have a sign or something, because it's, you know, they're perpetually wet because of the falls. And
So what, enter at your own risk?
I mean, really, you know, I don't know what the right approach is for that. That'd be...
I mean, to me, you just close them off.
Yeah,
Put the tape up and say,
exactly.
no access.
Yeah, if it's that dangerous.
And I think that the risk there is if you just close off the stairs, that people will walk themselves around.
Then you're entering at their own risk at that point.
Yeah, that's true. The risk there is not about safety so much, though, because the soils are very thin and the hillside is fairly steep, and the proximity to Baldwin Creek. That would be unfortunate, but if you did mark the stairs as closed, you might reduce some traffic, and then you might have a little bit that would just traipse around.
I think we'd be safer to mark them as closed than we would to say, enter at your own risk.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if they're closed and you fall going down the stairs,
It's on you.
it's on you. If we tell you the stairs are bad and you fall going
Yeah.
down, we knew they were bad, why didn't we close them?
So do we close the stairs or we close the park?
I would say close the park.
Do we say park closed?
It's not gonna prevent anybody from going
No,
there.
right, but if you just close the stairs and they go down around,
Yeah.
slip down.
Ladies,
all-
Well,
I
the
mean,
problem
you
with
can-
going down around is what she's saying is then you're destroying the soils and the environmental piece.
Correct.
So if
But-
people wanted to access the bridge to see the water and the falls and whatnot, couldn't they go up that private drive, which we have permission to
Yeah,
use?
go
We
up
have
back-
right away
the
there.
backwards way.
Yeah, and go backwards in, so we can make some kind of a sign to say, enter.
You can't park there, but you can walk up that way.
Yeah,
Who owns that road?
Michael King.
Canes.
No,
Huh?
no,
Okay.
the other side of the road, or, is it Orvis?
No.
Oh, yes.
The driveway?
The driveway is Cane's.
The
The driveway is Kane's, but
Right.
the property is Orvis's. And we have an easement on Orvis. Because Mike Kane.
Mike has an easement.
Mike fought because he didn't have he didn't have a way to get across.
On that corner of land at the end of his driveway.
At the end that goes from the road into the,
There's that little piece.
there's just a short section there. that,
Right.
you know,
Is anybody going to object if we direct people in that way?
Well, they would be walking, it would not be, so it would
No,
be
no,
no
it
difference
doesn't-
than them coming out.
It doesn't make any difference if they were riding a horse.
No, but what I'm saying is not gonna be parking there.
Yeah,
It's not, they're gonna be
exactly.
parking there, but it wouldn't be any difference from them walking up that way and coming out the road. Whether they're coming in or out, they're still.
Which is what I believe most people do.
Yes.
Yeah, if they come out that way.
Come out that way.
Right.
Now they can go in and go out that way. But,
I mean, you close off the stairs
But
and you
we don't
say,
own that driveway, right?
that
we
is
have a right of
correct.
way.
We have a
own
right.
it, we have a
So,
right of way.
we have a right of way, okay,
Yes.
that's what I wanted to know.
I mean, so what you can do is close the stairs up and say, stairs are closed, access to the falls are through the right of way along the backside. You know, the parking area, I mean.
So that,
It's not gonna stop people from going down, but
Alternatively, we could come up with $36,000 and put in steps.
Yeah, I'm looking at this
Or put in the
$12,000 request going, where are we getting that from?
Yeah, exactly.
I looked at the budget and said, where are we gonna get that from? And we are at the end of the year.
And already, I mean, where does the $12,000 come from that the Conservation Commission is providing?
Well, they have, well, the Conservation
Where
Commission
does it
has
come
those
from?
over-
From the taxpayer.
Yes.
Right,
The reserve.
That's what I was getting at.
right.
And I don't know about hitting it again. I mean, the elderly, the incapacitated, the handicapped, the people that are working 2 jobs so they can keep food on the table and pay their taxes, they aren't gonna have time or the ability to use this, and they're still gonna be paying for it. So we already have, their contribution in the way of the $12,000 from the Conservation Commission. I don't feel right about hitting them again.
So, Porter, you applied and it didn't get it, can we apply again?
We
for next-
can, yeah.
I mean,
And I
so we're
will
talking almost
anyway.
July 1, if you were, let's say there was a pot of money sitting here, we had it, we wouldn't have those stairs repaired before Labor Day.
Well, and the truth is, in
then-
all reality, probably not this build season anyway. So
Right.
what we want to do is try to get
That's
ourselves
right.
prepared to do it for next build season. And it's fine to, to write additional grants. I'm happy to do that. Although, as the trail network, we're eager to create trail. So, ideally, what we would love to do is see there be a mile loop on that property so that people can truly enjoy this 19 acres that the town owes on this gorgeous property. But we obviously don't want to do that until it's a safe access. In the meantime, though, we're working on a number of other projects. And so when I apply for a recreation trail program grant next winter, it may not be for Memorial Park. I could apply, I'm happy to rewrite that, resubmit that, et cetera, but the trail program, we may be developing other projects. So I think that, Ted makes a great point, which is that, this is a town property and the town wants to look at, how you want to best make that available to the community, but it's an extraordinary resource. I mean, I think that it's worth it to the town in the long run to make there be safe access. And I think you raise a good point, Ted, which is that not every member of the community will access that, but certainly the town develops other resources that various members of the community do or don't take advantage of. And I think it would be a shame to have this one not be available. So I don't know what the right solution is, in the short term or the medium term for finding funding. But, I imagine that you will want this to be a beautiful, accessible resource in the long run. And I'm happy to help you in any way I can to try to find those funds. And the town may have access to resources that I'm not aware of. From a trail standpoint, and I'm happy to support you as a volunteer to try to write those grants and get that money. But
I mean, if we got half of it and then we tried to get some, that's half this conservation would have to throw in and half the Legion,
perhaps, yeah.
just thinking. And my other question is, we walked the stairs on our road trip last year, didn't
Yeah.
walk them this year.
Too
Are
dangerous.
are those stairs any dangerous than any difficult spots on the long trail from from Maine to Virginia.
You would never
So-
see those trails
No.
on the long trail, those stairs
I
would
mean-
not be there, those stairs, nobody would put
But,
those
I
in
mean,
today.
there's obviously, it's, what, how many miles that long trail is, and just the Green Mountain Trails. There's gotta be spots where they're like that. I'm just trying to get the point is,
Yeah,
Would you want that spot to be in your town that you'd be responsible for the liability though?
yeah.
Right? Like if I mean, if that was in my
I
town.
see-
would
I hear what
want
you're saying,
that,
Joel.
though, to still fix that
Yeah.
for
no,
safety?
I don't, but as Ted says, our budget's tight, and we didn't budget for $12,000 for that, and, you know,
Well, we couldn't get it in this year's budget. And
couldn't
Yeah,
get it
right.
into this year's budget anyway.
What about donations or some kind of a membership situation or local fundraisers or something like that, just to get it going? It ain't gonna happen this year. And,
I mean, it's something to put down to consider for next year's budget. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know where the money's coming from, but if we're not talking this year, we can at least have some discussion about it.
You know, I
there are gonna be taxpayers that have zero interest in this, and that's a shame, because it's a beautiful place, and it would be a real positive thing to have it up and operating. There are people that are gonna go there once and never go back, and they're all gonna be paying taxes to fund this, and
But that's no different than any other project we do.
I
No
don't
different
know.
than the trail
You're right.
network. You know, you're gonna have people that aren't gonna go
Or the-
use that, or
or the
people go to the
sidewalks.
rec, or the
I'm
sidewalks.
really
Sidewalks.
tired
Upper
of that
notch.
argument.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying,
I-
it's no different than any other project. There's gonna be people who are gonna use it, and some people who are not.
Yeah.
That we all pay for.
I think Michelle, you hit it pretty close, is we discussed it at budget season in December. If it could fit, where it could fit, how much could fit. And apply for the grants again, because, you know, all of us know people sit around the table and decide these grants, and, you know, they may say, you know, this is their second time. We can't give them 32, but maybe we could give them 22, or 20, or 50.
Or even 10, who cares,
You know,
you know?
So we're only
Something.
going for 12, right?
No, you were going
No,
for 32.
So 36, well, we've got 12,
36.
and 12 from the Legion.
Oh, no, I
Don't know
haven't
those
spoken
yet.
to the Legion yet.
Oh,
That's
I'm
a
meeting
whole,
with them later in the month.
That's a hope.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
misunderstood
no, I
that.
haven't spoken to them yet. So I spoke with the Conservation Commission on the 13th, and they felt like it was a project worthy of funding. They didn't specify an amount, you know, and they had some good ideas for how we might, you know, try to source some local stone, you know, come up with some
Right.
cost-saving measures. You know.
Maybe involve,
Yeah, what about
volunteers
sweat
or-
equity?
Well, that's what she's talking about. She said
Yeah.
volunteers and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And there's some
someone to
things-
use conservation for, maybe
Yeah.
for some of the easier work, or and maybe more locally sourced stone, or try it, mine it somewhere, bring it in. Maybe there's local people or local knowledge we can use somehow to try to bring the cost
There's
down.
local stone.
They did have some good ideas there.
so Porter, when you speak of the stairs for the 36,000, that's the alternative route that we've been talking about.
That's right.
Yeah.
That actually isn't even replacing the steps down from the
Okay.
driveway. So this could all be done cheaper if it weren't done with stone. The rerouting to the stairs, the 36,000 we're talking about now, is strongly recommended to be with stone and with a little bit of raised walkway because, again, of the soils, the steepness, and the proximity to the creek. The stairs coming down from the parking area could be done in a different type of construction. The stones would be the longest lasting, the most durable, and again would aesthetically tie it in. But that could be done in a different way, and that price tag, which is also very steep, would be significantly reduced if we did have either donated stone or locally sourced stone, because a bigger portion of that construction piece is the stone rather than the labor for getting it in that steep and thinly soiled hillside.
So, I'm sorry. To repair or replace those wooden stairs that are rickety now, I understand would be a temporary fix, but relatively and comparatively inexpensive. And
Yeah,
to make it
and
safe.
that was one of the things we started with when we looked at it last year. We talked about it, the Conservation Commission thought they might have some craftsmen who could build some stairs there. The problem that we ran into was they're still gonna have a very steep rise and they'll be slippery again because of the moisture, but they don't seem to have an easy way to affix to the
Stone,
the rock that they're sort of
bedrock,
on.
really.
I'm not an expert on
Somebody
that,
did
so
it
I don't
once.
know.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of not attached, which
Yeah.
is why.
Yeah.
Oh, it failed.
So out
Yeah.
of curiosity, if we place stone in there, stone steps, Aren't they also gonna get wet and slippery?
We're rerouting to the side.
Okay, so you're going away from
Right,
it.
so the stairs that are there
they're saying it's not
now
gonna
get
be
sprayed
back.
from the thing,
Instead of
right.
going down the sharp side of the boulder, we kind of go like
Set of
around
stairs,
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I was just trying to figure out, well, why would
Yeah.
we get?
I mean, I
Makes
think,
sense.
you know, I think
Or
there's
separate.
lots of opportunity here. If the select board, you know, wants to do something other than put in very expensive, gorgeous stone steps, there's a lot of ways you could approach it, and I imagine that under normal circumstances, if this was something that, you know, came up, as it might have last year, you know, before the Conservation Commission and the Trail Network got involved, you know, might have looked at all sorts of different options and put it out to bid and come up with different things. So there probably are cheaper ways to do it. The report that we got was from this company, Timber and Stone, and this is the right, secure, extremely long-lasting, and beautiful way to do it. That doesn't mean it's the cheapest, and there certainly are options. You know, so all I wanted to do is make sure that you were up to date with where we are with this project. The Trail Network isn't going to do anything with Memorial Park until that problem is solved. I'm happy to help you try to continue to solve the problem, but I don't have anything in my pockets, so I can't do anything for that. So I just wanted you to know where we are with that. And also sort of see where you might be with it, so that I know, like, you know, do you want me to go to the Legion? What should I be asking of them, you know, or should I hold off on that? Do you want to do other things? So that's, you know, that's kind of why I'm here, so that you guys can start to think about how you want to go forward with that.
Do you have a design?
Yeah, Timber and Stone had a design, it's in
Right, it's in the
that
package.
document I
Yeah.
sent you.
Would you have time to go up and meet sometime and walk that?
Yeah,
And then I could maybe have a couple of
have some thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, just, you know, send me an email.
Okay.
You better send him an email.
Or you can call me or text me. What's the best way for him to
Drive right to the pit. Just drive right to the pit, shut the gate when you pull in, shut the gate so he doesn't
I'm
drive.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say that I'm gonna call, because it doesn't happen.
How do you want me to follow up with you?
Meet him at the pit. Come to the pit.
When
an
is
appointment.
a good time? I mean, I can do evening or I can do weekend.
All right. Do you want to do it next Sunday?
Sunday works. What time?
Put it in your phone right now.
Wow, is that how this goes? Okay.
She wasn't concerned about you, Porter.
No, we don't.
I'm gonna put his phone number in my phone. He's got his phone out. He must have a number. So just make sure that I get that. Okay. I don't know. Should we do later in the afternoon?
You tell me.
I don't know what your Sundays are like. Let's say 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Okay. That works.
He's got 6 o'clock supper, so need 2 hours then.
It's not a big site, Joel. All right. So 4 o'clock on Sunday.
M-E-N.
Let's see if we can get some ideas.
Right, look, I'm the one that's gotta read it.
Great. So should I keep my date with the Legion?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Wouldn't
do the
hurt.
same thing you did here, just keep them apprised of what we're trying to do. and-
Okay. Am I gonna ask him for money, and if so,
Make sure you get the right time.
how much?
Save it. No, I know it
Which
does.
they'll give you.
Then you'll go back
No,
and do
I
that.
don't need that.
No.
But
Oh, so it's.
I'm not sure, Porter, what you,
Okay, Joel.
you know,
Yeah, but how
I
do you know
guess
what time?
my first thing
I'll
was,
remember that.
I think we'd resubmit, you'd
no times on any of
resubmit.
them.
You know, like I said, they're gonna sit around the table again next, you know, in the spring and say, you know, Bristol's tried a couple of times. Kinda like when we apply for the state for the
Maybe
paving
me
grant-
third time's a
paving-
charm, because I
paving
asked them
grants,
for the
and we do
VYCC
Moncton Road or
last
this
year, and they
road
didn't
and
get that
Hartscrabble
one.
Road, and they'll say, well,
right.
Bristol hasn't gotten the grant in a couple, 3 years for paving, we'll send them some money.
All right,
And we submit every year, but we only get it about every
see.
third year.
all right.
One last thing, I realized that with your visit, you might come up with some ideas that might modify the design that's been in the report. But in concept, does the select board favor following the recommendations of the report?
If we could afford it, I'd rather do that.
I think that was the general consensus the first time around, was because it was flatter. and
To make
safer.
it safer and easier to walk,
Longer lasting.
we
And they had
support
broken
making
it
it
into 4
safer.
phases. Phase 1 is take out the stairs, we could do that for free. Phase 2 is reroute to the bridge, that's the 36,000. Phase 3 is replace the stairs down from the parking, they had priced that at 31. Phase 4 didn't have a price tag, that was a new bridge, but Joel saw that.
Maybe. No, no, twin pit.
Okay. Anyway.
You got one more.
So we have a problem in 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, down the road, or maybe.
Right, that 2
yeah,
years is
7.
that's this year, and then
Right.
next is 2 years, right?
Right down the road.
Right.
I can't have it till 2021 though.
That's fine.
Spring of
That's
21.
I said 2 to 5.
Yeah.
We're good.
I got one more.
So, any other thoughts or questions on Memorial Park? I'll give you a little, very quick trail network
No,
rundown.
just that
It's a great
the,
idea.
the Conservation Commission had pretty much the same response as you folks, you know, it sounds great. We need to look at it again and.
Excuse me, I didn't get that. What you were saying again?
Oh, that the Conservation Commission supports all the items that Porter was referring to, particular due to the issue of safety and conservation of natural resources. So we'll look forward to a different approach to it or another application.
Okay. I mean, the board, I don't want to speak for them, but they support Memorial Park and to make it safer and a walkway. Where we come up with the funding, like, you know, we don't have that water tower like the Gen City Council does. You read it in the paper all the time. Well, they're going to borrow from the water tower fund. I asked somebody the other day, do you support your whole government in the water tower fund? Yeah, so, but we do support the project.
Right.
Okay.
The Vermont Youth Conservation Corps is coming July 8th. They'll be here that week. They'll be finishing getting us up to the fire station from the Riverbend Trail.
Good.
Our volunteers worked last weekend and put a loop around the around the business park. So we had talked with Kevin Harbour about doing that. Originally we were going to wait till he had some infrastructure in, but he hasn't been able to move forward as quickly there as he'd hoped. So he said just put the trail in. So if you walk down Firehouse Drive and turn either left or right, there's just a weed-whacked section of grass. And then you can go into the woods, and there's a very clearly raked trail around there. So it's 0.4 miles from Firehouse Drive around the loop to Firehouse Drive.
Get way out to the south end on that flat plateau.
Yes.
It had a beautiful view.
It's really lovely.
It is out there.
And so then the access down towards the Riverbend Trail will be coming off of that trail. And that's, so VYCC's priorities are first to cut that, so they're side hilling there again along that to get down to the bank. And then 5 areas of stone stairs from last year's section, areas of the trail that need to be hardened, and they'll be doing that by putting in stone stairs. So those are their priorities for this 1 week. So
Will they get it all done?
I hope so. If not, we have some people on our trail crew who have some stone stair building experience. Last year we held off on that because we knew we were having them back because we had already gotten that Building Communities grant. So if we don't get all those 5 stone staircases in, I'm sure they'll get the side hill part cut.
Yeah.
I'm totally confident of that. They may not get all 5 of the stone staircases done, and if they don't, then we'll probably do some of that with our volunteers. So the staircase areas are prioritized for VYCC, so they know, where they're putting their energy. So we also have the trail rerouted through the dump. You remember we had that conversation last year about those problems, so that's been weed whacked. So by the end of July, you'll be able to go from South Street through the Coffin Factory, around the Riverbend, up around the business park, behind the high school, through the dump into Pine Street. So the trail will go from
God, I hope your snack bar down the end of
some South Street to Pine Street, and
my
then,
front lawn.
then in late July and August, we'll be cutting the trail from Basin Street to South Street. So by the end of the summer, you'll be able to do all of that starting from Basin Street. And those properties are all town land between Basin and South. So that's where we are this year and where we hope to be by the end of the summer.
Good work.
Yeah, it's been fun. Glad it stopped raining.
A lot of work.
Yeah, right.
Only temporarily.
I know.
Till noon tomorrow.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Good
Bye-bye.
Forewarned is forearmed.
Drive to his house. You know where he lives.
Don't forget me on Sunday.
Drive to his house. You know where he lives, on Picnic Lane.
Do you need
I will
me to
call
stay
you.
for that?
No, I don't think so.
No, that's pretty straightforward.
Is there more to sign in there? I see no.
I only signed that.
I thought I did too. Yeah.
Is there more stuff to sign? Okay,
Yeah, it's pointing up.
continuation of public hearing for Water and Sewer District annual meeting, and I see our treasurer's here and our operator, Lavie Thompson, is with her. So you ladies would like to come up?
On your tabletops and right there in the front there, I translated the information that Jen put together for the packets in the same kind of format that's in the town report. Yeah, that just kind of consolidates the number changes and the percentages so that if you wanted to compare them, you can just glance.
Well, let's do water. It's the first one.
I have
Let's
to get my right papers now.
Okay, we're gonna do the water budget.
So does this reflects what we figure we're gonna get from Woodlands?
It does, so I guess that's the disadvantage to Valerie's, is I have memo notes on mine that talk about specific line items and why they go, on this. So like, this gives you a nice memo note about things that I've calculated at a specific.
Are you saying that Valerie doesn't get a
No,
nice notes?
I just, I can't remember. So I have to make notes for myself. And I tried to guess all of the questions you were going to ask and put it in a note.
There's one more calculation to the right on here, which was, I've heard the question asked enough times now. What does that equal for a normal user, like on a monthly basis? $1.25 a month for a minimum user. Right. That's what.
With the increase.
That's what the increase is on the water district budget, because I put myself in the shoes of a water user.
You said 120?
$1.25 a month.
Because it's $4.
Which is $4 a quarter, which is $16 a year. So at least it's like, how big of a jump is this? How much is this gonna hurt?
It all hurts.
Of course it does.
I think we got a real good deal for water.
I do too.
And it's good water.
Yes, it is. And plenty of it.
Now that I'm on a well.
I just paid $1,600 for a well pump, so I don't get public water.
We'll bury a lot. We got
Houses for sale in Bristol just around.
I know. Trust me, it's on the long horizon. Oh, there was another item that we talked through, which was on page 2 of 3. There's a note under the bond payment. Its memo includes 2 USDA payments for Holly Hall note paid off in 2020. So she said this is the last year of
Next year's.
next year's. Next year is the last year, so that's
Bond payment.
on the bottom of page 2 of 3. Just kind of the things that jumped out at me as like, there's that.
Our first page is page 2.
Our first page is page 2, okay.
Oh, my.
Okay, right here, bond payment.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Is there any silver lining in this cloud? Yes, there's a little silver lining right
Which will reduce
there.
that line by $10,000.
In the next fiscal
That-
year.
And that bond is the North Street one to Plank Road, right, Peter? Isn't that?
No,
what-
that's the Holly
it's
Hall.
probably-
Oh, Holly
Water
Hall.
one. Holly Hall was 40 years, water was 30. Thanks, so the water will be paid off.
Holly Hall.
It was a Holly Hall water combo now.
The one that goes from here up to Spring.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when they did the big dig.
Before our time.
Okay, I was thinking, don't we still owe on the
Yeah.
Pine Street one?
Pine Street?
On a quarter of Pine and
North
North Street to Plank Road, we had to do that. We were gonna go around, and Casella back then, Casella was gonna pay for that, remember part of that going around from there. We went as far as
What's your
Rick
water
Fritz's
sewer
house.
We did Plank Road. Which one was done first?
No,
Plank
it's
Road or
all
North
tied
Street?
in. They did North Street and Plank Road at the same time. I
Right.
believe.
I think they did that for the big dig.
Yeah, when they had the whole road dug up, they did North Street and then,
Plank Road, they had to
Plank
go
Road,
down
it's on,
to Roy's.
yes, because
There was
what was
new
put in
from there on.
right, it was already 6-inch or 8.
It was that was put in for our landfill protection.
Our landfill, we had to offer water to those people for
Yes.
our landfill protection.
Yeah, but that was, yeah.
So that
only
was done the
4
same.
inch.
So that'll be all paid out, so this line item where it says bond payment,
No, so-
after next year will be 0?
I don't think that one will
No,
be paid off.
no.
Which
It'll just
one?
be $10,000 less. So
10,000
you're
less,
playing
okay.
with 3 bonds right now in
Okay.
your water department.
Okay, we got
You'll
3.
go down to 2 bonds.
Okay.
So
So rather than 80,
So we're paying
85, it'll be
West Street, North Street,
75.
North Street, Plank Road.
So this one, even though it was later, is gonna be paid off. Wasn't, I think the big dig, this one from here up to the school, grade school, up through there, when Munson did it in 98, that was later than that.
Is that water or stormwater? What
It
was
was
the storm?
both.
It was both.
Yeah.
I thought that was after
It was after
Plank
North
Road,
Street,
North
yeah.
Street and Plank Road, so why, I guess my question, Jennifer, why is, just, was it more years or more money for North Street than it was?
This is
I know,
way
I
before
think
me.
I know why now. We got shovel-ready money. Was that 1%?
Maybe. I know that the Holly Hall won't be paid off yet. That'll still have more years on it. So the water note that combos with Holly Hall renovations is when I hear Holly Hall note, I'm assuming it's the renovation of this building. I know that note is longer than the water note that's attached to it, but I don't know what water was attached to the renovation of this building, so.
So next, 2020 will be a full payment, and 2021 will be down
Correct.
10,000.
10,000.
Correct.
That's the silver lining. I was like, is there any? So we're kind of
Well,
running
silver
down.
lining is,
That money will just get moved to
we've been
capital.
talking about Pine Street and a few other streets for a number of years. That's why we've been holding up on paving Pine Street to go from north down to connect with the new line at Liberty, right, Picker?
And
The new line at Liberty, the line
Which is
at
20
Liberty-
years old now, the new line.
to go down, all the way down to the town garage,
Right.
not just off the Liberty. Yeah.
Well, looking on the bright side, you did allocate some money from your, what do you call that, capital?
And
To
doesn't
start
mean-
saving up, and then you're putting another 25 in this fiscal year to keep saving up, so you'll be at 105, so you just have to keep going.
A lot.
So any other questions for our operator and our treasurer? Sally, you got anything you want to chime in here?
No, I think Jen and Jill put a lot of effort into this and a lot of thought and really kicked the numbers around and
So what is the increase in water? I know it's $1. 6%? I know it's $1.
Yeah, $1.25 a month.
A month.
6%, it'll be 6% for
Okay.
everybody. And last year was 4, I believe.
I know this is impossible to predict, but emergency repairs, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, do we have something in here for that, or do we just
That is
fly by the seat of our pants?
contracted services.
Yep, a little bit beyond the middle of page 2.
Yeah, I see that. I was trying, I thought maybe that was, when I looked at that, I thought that was the contract.
No, contract
Okay.
ops
That's
is actually the
operating
line
contract,
just
right,
above that.
yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like we're putting a fair amount of money there.
Right.
I mean, it's a guess, and
Oh, absolutely.
the hope is that if it's an overage, then we can dump it into the capital fund and keep growing that capital fund. I know it's a shot in the dark, but when we spent $40,000 this year on it,
Well, it
after all
depends.
these bills
I
come through.
remember one
You know,
year,
but we might have nothing next year. It's a hard number to guess.
one year we spent $50-something thousand on a breakup in front of sergeants because we had to deal with it in the wintertime.
Right.
Right.
Yes, and you guys now have blow off, you have 2 valves up there.
Well, we
You
had
can
to
see.
blow off then.
Just didn't get turned on.
That's in a hard reminder in about 6 different places when to turn it on and off, and which hydrants to pump out so they don't get ruined, so.
This budget though doesn't show any hydrant replacement though, except the one in the bid. The one in the bid on
that
West Street.
getting replaced?
That's in the bid.
I know, but
We
I've
have to
heard mixed
decide.
reviews.
So
It's
there is
getting
a
replaced.
discussion,
Yeah.
there is a
Well-
discussion on the new location because the infrastructure that's going in for the stormwater will be physically in the space where the hydrant is coming down. And so between now and when the contractor actually puts that new hydrant in, there needs to be a decision made on where to install that hydrant.
That was in an email that you sent us.
Yeah.
So that's a decision left to make
And it needs to be planned ahead because the water needs to be shut off, right?
Well, yes, it does. We
Right.
cannot.
Yeah, there's no valve for that one.
It'd be challenging then.
You gotta be quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so between
Post haste.
Fill the hole.
Yes,
Put your thumb on the hole.
tapping back on the existing hydrant and installing the new
Explodes.
hydrant should probably be that same one shut off, assuming the contractor never
Right.
hits the water line during the project.
Assuming.
Otherwise, that will
I
be
think
magically a second
probably
shut off.
the safest place for that hydrant, if they'd let us put it on right on the corner of the lawn there at the bank,
Which
Oh,
corner?
east?
The east, east,
west corner.
Isn't it on the west corner?
the
or is it on
northwest?
No, it's right
It's on
on the
the
line
east
of
corner of the.
Howden Hall.
Howden Hall.
Oh, so just go across the
Oh, why
driveway.
did I think it was in front of the bank already?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I mean, right now, it's not, it's in a lousy location, it's
Yeah.
behind that telephone pole and everything.
That's what we were told, was that the fire personnel believe that it's not in a location that's very readily accessible.
We've used
So
it before.
relocating it is a
I've tapped
great
it
idea.
before, but-
Well, can so
And
we
if we
talk to the
go-
people at Merchants?
If we go the other direction, we've gotta go all the way to the other end,
Which put us
too close to
close to the other.
end.
The one you just replaced is
Right.
closer.
Yeah.
So let's have somebody talk to Merchants. Whoever we have to talk to,
Yeah.
yeah, community bank, yeah. And see if they'll allow us to do that. I mean, before
Water
we
and
start.
sewer?
Well, it's in the water, it's in the right of way,
I
You
so.
can talk to
The-
them.
the
Yeah,
backside
but
of
still
the-
wanna
I know.
ask
You
them.
The
bank
backside
there,
of
none
the
of the rest
sidewalk
of
is
it.
in the right of way.
Oh, not the backside.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
talking
talking
about
about property.
I can
There's
check
no
with her, I
green
can check
space,
with her, I
right?
know.
Yeah.
And
I
Okay,
think we-
Jolie, that's in your plate then.
I think,
Just
what's
let me
your
know if
thoughts,
you wanna
Peter?
gang up.
No, I agree.
Sure.
There's no need
if I
to go
get
any
you aside,
further west.
and I entire.
Yeah, I mean, we can network
Or
together and
when you're in town sometime.
every day.
I don't want
Depends which
How
time of
about
day.
Wednesday, maybe 1 o'clock Wednesday? Okay, all right, so we,
So we
I'll
need a
take
motion to
it,
accept.
accept the water budget, yep.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second, any more questions for him? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Okay,
So the sewer budget is kind of drastically different.
pretty dirty?
Because
That too. We just got into some conversation and realization of some maintenance that needs to happen.
you had a reality check?
Well, we just kind of were, it's the pumping of the cells again, and basically like,
We
we've
just
been playing this catch up,
have one done this week,
and
Today, this morning.
and then we're gonna have one done
next week.
Yeah.
next week after.
But we're gonna have to
4th.
have another one done next June, so we
Yeah.
have to budget
For two.
So that's where,
Yeah.
we've kind of been sneaking
We're
it
behind
one
that,
behind
behind the ball.
because we've been pushing
Yeah.
it. So we had to budget for two, so unfortunately, that forces, we couldn't just rely on penalizing the higher users. We had to increase the base amounts.
Well, the other side of that is if we pump them both every year and we clean up with the grease traps, we shouldn't have to make the extra trips to pump.
And the good news this morning was when our pumper came to pump, this pumping went smoother than anyone ever has. And he specifically stated the new controls that are being put in place with the fat oils and grease in the system are making a difference. Keep it up. So there are still, and there's a flushable thing that Valerie just sent. This stuff that's on the bottom of the tank, it looks like Medusa's hair, like each piece is like thick like this and it's wound up. Those are those non-flushable wipes that they call flushable wipes. They turn into this,
Right.
They
aren't really flushable.
thick spaghetti and create just a really hard mess in the bottom of that septic tank. So public education and outreach is great. It's gonna continue to make it easier for us to keep up with the system. And according to our engineer, which he just finished his report, he did say we need to pump cell 1 and cell 2. So we're putting one in this current fiscal year, one in next fiscal year, and then one towards the end of next. So 2 in the fiscal year that you see here.
2020.
And that's what this budget requires,
Yeah,
that now.
yeah. And just preparing so that if we have to pump both cells every year, it's in the budget. If there's a year that we don't, we have reprieve, then we can start saving capital. But if we don't plan anything, then we have to eat it. That's
Without mentioning,
Nothing there I'm eating.
Especially the stuff at the bottom.
Jill and Jen, without mentioning any names, we got this thing where it gives everybody's flow.
Yes.
And there's one or two businesses here extremely, one of them extremely over, without saying any, don't mention it on camera. You know, they're limited to 488 a day, and this one was 625 somewhere. One was 1,000 gallons ADF, their ADF, that was average daily flow. And their limit was 829. They're over every month here. Do we have anything built in that says, hold on here, people?
They pay more money.
That's it? Just,
Well, and then that's what calculates.
is there a fine there that
Well,
says, you know, your
That's what
average
calculates
intake
your
or average?
reserve. Because
What's
all
that,
those,
excuse
each year they collect all the flows from my cell. And then they use that, so when we say, how much do we have left? They're basing it on actual flows, it's not just like a guesstimate. Like, they take our actual flows of what's happening and say, this is what's left in your septic. They're not just,
So these people who are
they're not
using-
just looking at what they're allotted, they're looking at the
Actual flow.
The actual flow.
So,
Which then hurts us, well, hurts us in that you
sell.
have less to give to somebody, but
give, sell.
Right.
they're paying
Right,
extra
they
for
are
it.
paying
Are they
penalty
paying-
for that
Okay.
through our fee.
If they're allocated 500 gallons a month and it's $1 a gallon, for easy figure, and they go 750, then they just pay 750, or is it $1.50 more a
No,
gallon
so
for what
that's
you were over?
Okay, so everyone pays the flat 180, and that gives you 100 gallons a day. So you might have a higher daily flow than 100 gallons a day, but if you use less than the 100 gallons a day, then you only pay the 180. If you go over the 100 gallons a day, but you use less than your daily flow, you still get penalized, which is the $100
Interest and
penalty
penalty
for
revenue.
over 100 gallons a day.
Right, so that's going up $28.
And that gets multiplied by the overage that you have.
So-
So if you're at 150, that 100's getting multiplied times the 50 gallons.
So it's $1.81 a gallon for
181.
for 100 gallons, right? You said for 100 gallons, the first 100 gallons
A day.
A day is
So we do a flat fee for the 100 gallons a day.
okay.
He's calculating now.
I know, I'm trying to,
just trying
it's
to
just
figure
hard
out.
down, but
Is it,
You
is
can't
there
necessarily do
any,
that.
these businesses that say, we don't care if we go over, we just pay the same amount of gallons per gallon fee and a little small interest, but
I mean, it's a significant, because then it doubles. So then when you exceed your flow, that penalty doubles. So it's a significant fee that you're paying
okay.
when you are going over. And not as significant if you're just exceeding the 100 gallons, but more significant if you're exceeding your daily flow. Because you're getting double the penalty. You're getting over the 100 gallons, plus you're getting over your daily flow.
So let me ask you a question. If they're going over constantly every month, can they come back to us and say, I want to increase my average
Well,
flow?
we don't
I mean,
see
they'll
it.
still
Someone has
get
done that.
penalized.
Someone has done that.
Right,
Yep.
but they'll still get penalized, right?
No,
Even if
unless
they're-
they get under, because then their flow gets recalculated. So only if they're going over the 100 gallons a day, they would get penalized.
Right.
But if they were exceeding their daily flow allotment, and then that put them under, then they wouldn't get the second penalty, basically.
Okay, went
So
over
it's
the
a-
daily flows, but
So if they stayed under their daily flows but were over the 100
100
gallons a
gallons.
day, they'd get the 100 gallon a day overage penalty.
but they wouldn't.
But
get
if they
that.
were under their daily flows, they don't get that.
That overage penalty is per month? Or
Quarter.
Per quarter?
Order.
So it's
So
100,
averages
so if
out
you're
over
over
90
100, if you're over 100 gallons a day, it's $100 per quarter. And then if you're over your daily flow, it's $200 a quarter.
It's
There's some
calculated
more
by how much-
calculation in
right,
there to that, because it does calculate
based on what their overage
specifics.
is.
Right, thank you.
And so,
And so
But
it's
but
$100
that's
per
fine.
quarter, but it's based on what their overage is.
Right.
You calculate it out based on their overage.
I mean, the
I don't wanna
same,
know what the calculator, I understand what
Right,
you're saying.
it's, yeah, it's a little spreadsheet driven, so it's hard to wrap my head around it, sitting here, not having it in front of me. But that's correct.
So Jen, did these fees, proposed fees change? Those were from the last meeting.
So this one.
181,
180, 150.
and the other two stay at 100 and 200.
Yeah, that's what I left.
I mean, here's 1 month, I don't know what quarter it is, they're 800 over. Here
Yeah.
they're,
They pay.
you know,
I mean, it averages out
here
over
they're
the 90
600
days.
over.
So it averages out. So what happens is Jill and or Cy read the meters every 30 days and they come in with their meter reads. So if 1 month they're higher, but then the next month they're lower, it averages out kind of like your home usage. If you use the water because you washed your car today, but then you don't tomorrow, it averages out over the time.
I never washed my car.
So, you know, the number of days is taken into consideration in creating these averages.
So what's the overall percentage of increase on this budget?
5% for the base amount.
It says a change of 32%.
Yeah.
The budget didn't go up 30.
32, almost 33.
Yeah, 32.84.
Yeah. Almost 33.
Yeah, so your bases are going up 5% and your overages are going up 39%. And I looked at that as like a human too, to just say, okay, if I'm a normal user, it's gonna go up $8 a quarter. If I'm over 100 gallons a day, it's gonna go up $28 a quarter, and that would be plus the 8, right? Mm-hmm. And if you are one of the daily flow allocations that are above your flow, it's gonna go up another $56 a quarter.
Those
So
numbers
it's-
change. The 8 is only the consistent number. These two are based on your overage usage.
So it'd be that or
so
that.
those
Okay.
might
Just
not
rough
be
estimate, yeah.
right quite where they're at, but
I guess my question here is on the couple that are continuously, almost using twice as much or 3 times as much as their daily flow, or what their limit is. And let's say that was 6,000 gallons a year. That's something, if we had that back and we could sell that to somebody or sell it to them, is it better to sell it or charge the interest?
Charge.
I would say
Or just
charge.
charge the,
You're gonna make more money
more money.
taking in more money by,
Right.
But on the overage,
on the overage.
Right.
So the overage is more than the $1.81 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The one
Okay.
Because they're gonna pay the one-time fee to buy it.
Right.
That's gonna be done in one fiscal year, and then they're gonna pay the minimum use bill every time after that.
You're losing as much as like $800 to $4,000 a year.
Right.
Okay. So the minimum is what their minimum is, what they calculate they need. I mean, their minimum versus the
Everybody's
bank
minimum is the
is-
100,
is-
is the 100 gallons.
Okay.
per day.
Yeah.
So daily flows are not counted into the minimum.
Our limit's 149, we use 30 gallons.
You could sell some.
Yeah,
You sell some to Shaw's, it's going right by.
that's right. Right on board.
Now, at the last meeting, a question came up about the reconnect and disconnect fees and why they're different between the two different fee schedules. And the question also came up about disconnection of sewer services. So in your packet was the state statute that deals with both of that. The water and wastewater connection and disconnection procedures. But one thing I noticed in there was the state statute appears to set the reconnection fee at $25.
Really? Across the
That's
state?
just their recommended. I mean, I don't know
Is it?
that you can't change that as town.
Let's see, where did I see that?
Yeah, collection trips, 25 regardless of number, reconnection, normal hours, 25, overtime, 37.50.
Reconnection, normal hours. OT?
Overtime. Overtime.
Yeah.
This looks just like a sample letter though. This is not, I don't think this is this is a statute saying this is how much you can charge. This looks like a letter. A sample letter they're telling you, uniform
Yeah.
notice form.
Yeah, because they give
Yeah.
the section title, Vermont State.
Yeah.
charge
We
fee.
charge a fee, that doesn't sound like,
Collection
That's just a form.
trips, regardless of the numbers. What that means, so That means putting a notice on their door that you're gonna shut your water off tomorrow. There's 25.
It's like time and notice of disconnection of utility service shall occur only between the hours 8 AM and 2 PM.
Charge me to reconnect. I've never got shiny. Oh, you haven't?
We were close.
People were responsive. We were not
close.
That's when Cyrus is gonna let you do.
I usually give him the nice notices and he's like, oh, great. You gotta go deliver this bad news.
Since the occasions for sewer disconnection and reconnection are probably extremely rare at this point, I wonder if, to be on the safe side, we make them consistent with the $25.
I agree.
Yep.
And we do have
During normal
language,
hours.
Right.
Yeah.
and we do have language in there that says if your sewer is in the rear and needs to be disconnected, our means is your water will be shut off, not Peaker's plug.
I
Right?
did find the plug today.
You did find it.
Yeah, it gets pumped
So-
up there, it exists.
I want to make sure, it's that going to be in the language too.
It's, yeah, just to follow the statutory process.
So that means we can shut their water off. If National Bank of Midway pays their water bill all the time and never pays their sewer bill, say, hey, you shut my water off and I pay my bill. Can we still shut their water off? Or delinquent payment of sewer? Not that they have, but they.
I don't know the specific answer to that question, but fortunately, we don't have to cross that line right now.
No,
Yeah, but we should be proactive about
Right.
that now.
Yeah, especially if our penalties and stuff are gonna go.
I think we could send an email to our town attorney and ask that question.
Yeah, I'm sure Kevin knows the answer to that.
Right. Very simple.
I do not.
And that doesn't have to be at this meeting. We can pass that at a later meeting.
Right.
Anybody else got any more questions for the sewer budget?
Need a motion?
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the sewer budget.
And that's including the rate structure, the changes to the rates.
Right.
That is correct.
That's good. Hearing no more comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
So Michelle made the motion?
Yes.
And who seconded?
Peter.
Great.
Jill did, so I used to find the water shut off about Avon. I called Reggie the other day.
We created one. We literally made them a
Do you
shut
wanna,
off.
do you wanna bring that up? The mouse?
So, sure.
Yes,
You can decide whether or not you wish to discuss it in further detail at another meeting. So,
It's not on the agenda, so.
okay.
Oh, we're doing water.
We were asked to turn the water service off so that a large amount of plumbing could occur at the school. And after much searching and whatnot, of records, of the ground, of everything else, it was found that there was not a shut off for the water service to Mount Abraham. There was only street valves, system valves. One at
Liberty.
the horse paddock, yep, on Liberty, and one near the Legion. So a decision was made late Thursday to hire a contractor and go in. And at that moment, well, Thursday night at that moment, we thought that maybe the shut off was where the ball fields were. Very early, softball fields. Very early, Friday morning, after that was dug up, it was, unfortunately, that's just the curb stop and the leaker for the softball field irrigation system with a very old meter that wasn't being metered. So with Michael Orvis and Joel Fitzgerald, there was a decision that we understand we're going to need to pay for this valve, this 6-inch valve. The contractor's here, please just bill us for this. We need to be able to shut the water off to the school. So that material was purchased, that was installed, it was one day. So now that brand new valve exists, the water can be turned off to the school. Repairs were made to the curb stop and the leaker, and a brand new meter was put in with a way to bill them for any water that's used on the field with a touchpad. That was all done Friday.
The water was just in that green thing behind the softball.
You know it, the green thing, yes. There's a brand new
For
meter
just
in
the
there.
field, but there's always a meter in the building for the school.
There sure is.
Yes.
Yes.
And Reggie couldn't figure out why they didn't want to shut it off right there in the corner inside the building. You shut the whole building off.
We did.
That's what
That
they
is
did
what,
to
that
start.
is what they did so they could drain the building because they could not reschedule these mechanical contractors. But they wanted a better way to have a second layer.
So that valve is, that, being that we can't shut the water off to the school for lack of payment.
Now we can.
No, we can't. We can't. We,
Legally.
legally we can't.
Oh,
Just like we can't shut
legally.
the water off to an apartment house.
Right.
So the valve's not ours.
It is not. It is on the school's property.
And that's why she said they're paying for it.
Yeah,
They're
well-
paying for the valve. However, the question would be, so there is a bill from the contractor for doing the excavation. There is the cost of the valve and the high maxes and the glands and whatnot that the school has already agreed that they're paying for. There is also this thought that there's gonna be a shared cost between that excavation due to the fact that we were replacing the meter and looking at the other components that at the time we thought might belong to the town. It's all on the school's property, so we kinda wanna know.
Well, you weren't planning on replacing that though when you dug it up.
We were thinking that we were just fixing a leaking valve.
Right.
It was not, it was a leaker with a functional valve that went to the water system under the field. So
Right,
it's
so
like,
why would that be the town's responsibility?
My question
I mean,
is,
I-
what's my question that I tackled Peter with when I came in the door, and
Yeah, well,
he doesn't need to know the answer now,
I didn't have everything I
Yeah.
have now. There again, I would say we're responsible to the curb stop. I understand that that's all on their property, but there again, it's public property.
this is where it's like, this
It's a
6-inch
gray
valve
area.
is serving
Taxpayers,
as
no
a
matter which
curb
way you
stop.
look at it.
But it's
So
5 gallons.
it's a
Well, I'm just-
6-inch.
Not
I
600
guess my
users.
question is,
For that
if something leaks between the Legion and that new, who's fixing it and who's paying for it? Is my question.
We're fixing it. We fixed the last.
And we ran the line all the way to that new fire hydrant by the sidewalk going to the parking lot. That was run years
The
ago.
one on the left, if you're looking at the school.
Why?
Okay, because you
I-
ran both of
I-
them.
We
that's
fixed
fine,
the line going to the soup's office there a couple of years, well, it's probably more
It's
than a couple
gone
years
now,
ago.
right? Didn't they take that out when they replaced the hydrant with the West Street? That was an issue because there was no water in the football walk.
No, this
Is
is
this
a 2-inch
different, sir?
line, this is a 2-inch line that was leaking right in front of the Eagle building.
But that's on Airport Drive.
It's true. But it
I'm
was-
just being devil's advocate,
No.
I'm not trying to defend.
No, I mean, that's, my thought was, once it goes beyond the gate, that's school
Which
property.
is exactly my thought, because we don't maintain the road. We don't mow the grass, we don't do anything beyond that gate. We plow to the gate, right?
I think we at least own to the fire hydrants.
No.
This is the question that she wants.
Well, that's an
to know.
8-inch main.
For
It's an
you
8-inch
guys-
main.
I know,
Sure.
but if that gate is closed, you can't get to that. They can shut the gate anytime they want. You can't get to that fire hydrant that's in
Yeah,
there.
we can.
Yeah, we can.
Well,
You have a key.
We have a key.
Right, but,
Yeah, we have a master key.
right. Well, and then that's the next question is, who owns the
We
fire
need to own the
hydrants
fire
on there?
hydrant because we need to control the fire hydrant.
That was the question, and should
We
be
can't have
flushing
them
those
turning the fire
hydrants?
hydrant on to water their fields or get water for their pool or anything
well,
else.
so if those fire hydrants fail, then it's our responsibility to replace them.
I believe so.
Okay, so here comes the next layer, which is there is now a curb stop for the irrigation system that belongs to the school and a 6-inch valve on the water system that delivers the
school
water
off,
through the
shuts the
water to the
school
school. Is it okay for the school to own the wrenches to exercise those, or should they have to contact the water department to exercise those valves? Because they were saying, do we need wrenches if these are on our property? Should we have wrenches to exercise these if we wanted to turn these on or off, drain them, etc.?
Right, and if
I
they
still
don't
say we-
exercise them and something fails,
I still think
Who's
that's.
responsible?
I mean, every curb stop in this village is on private property, just about.
No.
We just approved
Right,
4 of
right,
them.
right
We just
away.
approved 4 of them
In the
inside
right
the
of way.
sidewalk in North Street, 5 of them. We don't let Robert Fuller, who we just put 5 of them in for, give him a wrench to, those are You see what I'm saying? Those are his,
I
those are our
think our
curbs.
water department has to be at least aware.
Yes.
Every time somebody shuts
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Because to me, if they
get water
swing
hammer
that
or
6
whatever.
inch
Water gets
fast,
milk out
And
there.
then,
wham.
yeah, if
It's
they
like-
swing it fast and water's flowing in the school,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of the thought, but it was also like, let's talk through it and see
I
what you
don't think
guys
just
think.
because it's on private property, I'm not sure I wanna go down that.
I mean, I guess the only reference I can think of, and not that it's even relevant, is something like in Middlebury where they have kind of business parks and whatever, and once it gets past there, is it all
No, it's-
private?
No.
I have no idea.
And like Cabot, I know they have a bunch of fire hydrants there to facilitate for their building. Are
No, I
those
don't
their
like-
hydrants?
Middlebury's water system is so bad that they don't let anybody touch the valves.
And they even have a 8-inch or 6-inch with a steamer connection on a hydrant. They got a thing that screws on there that when you want to fill up a Pike Industry truck, when they used to pave and hook up to the fire hydrants, you pay for it. They got a meter on it. You
Yeah,
can't.
we've considered building one of them with a couple different parts and then ordering a couple other parts so that even when the fire department flows, we'll know how many, and then we can understand in the audit what's our unaccounted for, because it's technically accounted for. It's just not built, and then we can truly understand what our water loss
You want to
is.
fill a swimming pool, you can pay for the water coming out of that fire
And
hydrant.
not have to wait 3 days for the hose to flow. Yep. Yeah, it is a relevant thing to do at some point if you guys wish to.
So have we, I don't think we came up with a decision on who's paying for
Well,
what.
because
Yeah.
I'm
I know
getting a
they've
bill
already-
from the excavator here quickly.
Yes, and the school has most certainly agreed upon initial conversation to pay for that 6-inch valve, which was probably, it's, the bulk of the cost of that was the 6-inch valve and the appurtenance that went with that, and the excavation. The other side where the meter is, that meter already belonged to the system. It had been in stock for 2 years, so that's an expenditure that's already been made. So really, those are the
And we
costs.
replace meters that are bad.
Exactly.
And this one you had to dig up to get to.
Oh yeah,
So I think that one's on us.
that's where we're thinking it may not be so bad to split the excavation costs.
That's fair.
But
Well,
That's what
I'm not saying split
The total
it. Ask him how
excavation
many hours
cost.
it took to dig that
I
versus.
haven't seen the
the
bill.
6-inch.
It'll go to Jen.
Yeah, but the total excavation cost the school has agreed to pay for, we're just talking about
They
the
agreed
pieces
to
and
pay for
parts.
half upon the initial conversation, but it kind of went.
How deep was the
Five and
meter
a half
pit?
feet.
The meter pit?
5.5 feet.
Yeah, it's the down, it comes off of the main, so it's the same depth.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they put it in a green.
Yeah, they do.
But it's 5.5
But still,
feet.
the water still has to come in at the
Yep.
base.
So the new
Oh,
6-inch.
I thought you just
valve,
did,
the
the
meter pit,
touch pad was
everything's
replaced
at
all the way,
5.5 feet.
No,
It's all
all
level.
the way down.
The wire is on a pole.
Maybe it should have been up more than 5.5, maybe it should have been deeper than 5.5 and it may not have broke or froze.
We were talking about that this weekend. Just like we should probably throw some insulation in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, would make sense.
But I mean, what I'm trying to get at is that excavator must have dug a lot bigger hole for this 6-inch right outside the school versus our hole. And then to
It
split
was
the
all
cost.
at once.
Right,
I
to
have
split the
pictures.
cost. To split the cost, I would say to the,
No, I think that's fair to split it.
I do too.
Yeah. If they're paying for the valve and we pay for half the excavation, we're getting a good deal.
Yeah.
Well, we're paying for
We're only paying for the material that we used, if I
fix our
understand
meter.
Joe right. We're only
That's what I wanna-
paying
And that
for
meter
the-
was already paid for, so I'm
So-
just kind of thinking like the town's actual cost for the entire thing should not end up.
It's gonna be size time and and half of the excavating. And they're paying for
my point is,
all the
it took them a
associated
lot longer to
parts.
build it, dig a 6-inch. They had a lot more excavating time at that 6-inch main or valve than they did here. Not splitting hairs here, but I'm
Yeah, you
splitting
are
hairs.
I'll show you pictures and then you can kind of, I don't know.
I agree with Joe, it probably takes more
Peter,
time, but the thing is.
Were you here when we did the down the street, we had an excavator they hired and we had to pay for the cost, Peter? Do you remember that down on West Street somewhere here? Without mentioning any names? Yeah, that cost us an arm and a leg and
No, it didn't. We didn't pay for it. No, we didn't.
I kind of thought it might take further
Other than I
conversation.
just need direction. What are you paying and what are you not paying?
I
Need a
make
motion?
I make a motion, we pay for half of it.
I'll second that. Second.
Half
of the excavation.
Yeah, I thought I heard him say. Tasha, you got that? Half of the excavating cost.
And bill them for all the materials of the valve
All
installed.
the materials that went to their valve,
Yes.
yes.
Any more discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And if I understand correctly, I will let the school staff know, please don't exercise those valves, call the water department. We'll gladly do it whenever you
Yep.
need. Okay, you got it.
Or put it on your schedule and tell them you'll exercise them when you exercise the other valves.
Well, and if they want to shut off the fields, they can do it at the same time. I'm turning on and off the blow off, because that's kind of that time of year when things are starting to freeze and thaw.
When you make a cloud around, does that make it important?
Oh, yeah. John Sickos, don't you forget this.
Question, so the whole bill will come to you, Jen, and then you'll bill the school for half the excavation and the park?
We just agreed to pay half the excavation. I think
As
that
the
the
town
contractor has already split the bill for us.
Jill, I'll call
Did you get hit this
Side
weekend?
Wednesday afternoon. I had a 12
Did so well until yesterday.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I had to bark, and I was so mad, and I was like, I'm just so proud of her, and I put pins on this one, it hurt too bad. So it's
I'm not gonna put it in there.
No, don't. Okay, I'll call you probably. Okay, thanks. Okay.
Don't say more.
Well, we did you're gonna give us an update on the ordinance after we check on Kevin's you're gonna email Kevin on that, and then general issues. Okay, determine whether to sell or otherwise dispose of the old 2008 roadside mower.
Is it saleable?
Yes.
Then sell it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Put it up to
Easy
I
enough.
don't think you need a motion on that, just, you got
Tell
that?
them to sell it
Sell it.
for whatever most you can get out of it.
Okay, 2019 sidewalk replacement project, determine segments and scope of work.
So enclosed are two things. One is the original plan that came up with in 2017, I think, and the draft scope of work based on that plan. But since then, additional information might have come along where you might want to reevaluate which segments get done this year. And even if we're going to do any this year, if you want to hold off and wait and see what the bids come in for the Main Street sidewalk.
I think if we're committed to doing Main Street, that we wait unless Peter says these sidewalks are so bad that they absolutely need to be done now.
Mount Street is very bad, and I know.
That's down by Fred's, right, in Garfield of Spring?
Right up, yeah, by Fred's, and East Street's very bad too.
See, I was gonna say just the opposite. I would like to stay on track with that. I mean, especially if the state, if we're gonna be able to work with the state on the whole project.
But it sounds like the sidewalks are bad enough so that we don't want to come off the schedule
Well,
anyway.
I guess my point is, we won't know the bid numbers until spring, correct? So we'll miss a construction season. Not that we couldn't do them still, you know, Spring Street, or up there on Mountain, or East Street, in this budget year before, in May.
I would not want to do Mountain Street while school is in session.
Right. No. So if we're not gonna do it this year.
And that's another reason why I think we should at least do that section, because it is a route to school, and it is very bad.
Why don't we at least put that out to bid? Why don't we at least put that out to bid, and if we can,
Well, put them both out
Put
there.
it on, are we gonna
Well,
do?
we've got $17,000 that voters told us to spend on sidewalks
Right.
from undesignated funds.
Did you already spend that on West Street? That
No,
was just a
no.
lapse.
No, that was a town meeting.
I know, but it was a lapse because we didn't spend it in the budget year, so it was intended for West Street
Right.
replacement sidewalks.
Yeah.
so that
It
money's
was
gone.
not
Is that what you're
extra.
telling me? That money's not there?
Which West Street? Oh, the stuff that they just did, yeah, that's what I thought.
It was just that we hadn't established a sidewalk fund. We
Right.
didn't get to use the money in time.
Right.
And so they just were saying basically you could retroactively put that money in the sidewalk fund created, so that's already been spoken for.
So refresh my memory, what did we designate the sale of 32 North Street, those funds for?
32 North, I don't know.
The old fire station. I was trying to think of
That was the
that.
replacement of your capital funds from all the capital funds that you used for the non-bond costs for the fire station.
Okay.
Paid for the road,
So
didn't
like
it?
paving the
Yeah, now that you say that.
parking lots.
Just needed my memory
It comes
refreshed.
in, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you say those sidewalks are bad, we put them both out to
Right.
bid. And we've got money from the Stony Hill property, do we wanna get the curb and the sidewalk in at least to the telephone pole, at least to the telephone pole? So that money is spent and that is done.
Well, what we're doing is getting an updated cost estimate from Green Mountain Engineering, and we're just gonna cut Stony Hill a check.
And then he's
All
gonna
the
be
way
responsible.
And then, based
Then
upon
it's
that,
on to him.
and
Then it's on
then
him.
he'll do it with the rest of his construction.
Yep.
He'll bundle it all in.
No matter what it costs.
Right.
Well, if we only have the 35,000 that we budgeted, I think, and I just stuck that park place in there, that 100 feet, just to kind of use up based on cost of what we've been paying. But
What if we don't do that one?
Park Place,
Yeah.
no, I don't think it's a big problem.
It doesn't, yeah, this doesn't look
It's
like
not
it's
as
an
bad
epic-
as
yeah.
Mountain Street.
No, it isn't.
Are some of
Mountain
these
Street is
side-
way more important.
Yes,
Right.
I agree.
Are some of these sidewalks, like Park Street,
Park Place.
Park Place, I mean,
Yeah.
could we, I hate to mention it, but like they did up on North Street before we paved, we skinned it back. I mean, these sidewalks, you look at them, the grass is 3 inches higher than both sides. Could we skin it back between that, let them, on some, and save some years out of these sidewalks?
Yeah, I asked them if they had enough time to do that all the way down North Street when they were there, and they didn't.
Yeah.
The other thing that I asked last year, because the contractor that got the sidewalk bid subbed the concrete last year.
Yep.
I asked the sub if he would be interested if it was prepped and poured in the sidewalks, and he said most definitely. So that's a way we can get more bang for our buck if the Public Works has time to do the prep and the seed. It's not a big deal. I mean,
We're part
it's
owner of
five-
Hydro Seeder.
It's 5 feet wide and it pitches an inch from one side to the other. It's not tough work. Pull the sidewalks out, prep it, and just, if they have time, just hire the concrete side.
But don't you have to have all the forms and that? Is that what you're saying?
The concrete sub does.
Oh, he's gonna do that. So all they have to do is the prep work, the concrete guy will put in all
The concrete, he'll pour
forms
the
and
concrete
everything.
and then we come back in topsoil and seed.
That's a discussion to have with Eric though.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, most definitely, but I mean, if you wanna stretch that money or keep that money, you know, we still pay. you
Still
know,
pay the road, the highway department. and
Right.
for Public Works Department.
But we don't lose the money isn't gone out of the system. And I think there are probably, I'm guessing he's probably not the only one that would be interested in bidding that. If that's something that the road crew's got time to do.
Val, do you wanna talk to Eric and see before you put this out?
Well, I certainly have to.
Because then, I was gonna say, that's gonna change this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that issue on the new sidewalk on Mountain Street where it pooled last winter, I think if they just skimmed that off, that it would take care of that problem.
So are you saying level the sidewalk?
No, level the
green
cut
space.
cut the
The green
sod.
space between the road and the
Cut the
sidewalk.
sod on the edge of the sidewalk.
Because it does, it sits up,
Yeah.
2-3 inches above the sidewalk.
Because I need, from my thinking is, we know we got 2 pieces of property we sold, and we got some chunk of money from that, and then we know we got a huge chunk of money on Main Street going down here. and we talk about, well, we're gonna get it from this fund and this fund, I gotta see it, and are we gonna have enough? And we don't know what the bid is yet for Main Street. And that's why,
We haven't done any finalization of Main Street,
Right.
so.
Right.
And I think at the
which is gonna
July,
be $40,000 for doing sidewalks on Mount Street and East Street. Not that I'm saying they're not worth
But
doing.
if the bids come in, if we do it the conventional ways we have in the past, at the same linear foot, or even a couple dollars more, if it's 531 feet to do the Mountain Street from Garfield to Spring, and so that 35,000 we have will take care of that.
Yeah. But I'm saying, if the bids on Main Street come in, and we say, we ain't got enough money, we may need to, do we wanna borrow from ourselves, or say, well, we got 35 more because we didn't spend it on Mount Street this year, we're gonna do it next year, one more
I
year.
don't think we can,
Wanna
from the
wait?
sounds of it, we can't wait on that sidewalk.
Pushes everything back on
Don't
that
wanna
list.
And
Don't
another
wanna
thing,
wait.
It pushes everything back on this list, I get that.
at the last 2 town meetings, there has been a major emphasis from the townspeople to
Yep.
do sidewalks.
Yep.
And,
And that is a nasty one.
yeah.
That is.
So let's do those two. Let's talk to Eric and see. I mean, that'll save us. There'll be money in that fund, or at least it'll be back in the coffers to divvy out somewhere else.
I mean, as Peter knows, with the last two contractors, didn't use a big machine and dig down 4 feet like some contractors do. Went down through and popped them all with a skid steer.
Yeah.
Smoothed them out, started laying them.
Yeah.
Man, you
I
remember?
mean, it's not a tough job to grade that out. You and I did sidewalks for a couple of years.
Yeah, we did
I mean,
it in
and
Moore
working-
Street there. Yep.
You can prep a couple 100 feet in a day's time. It's not a big deal.
Yep. Okay.
so we continue this on the July 8th meeting?
Well, yeah, I guess we need to get some feedback from
Eric. Eric's got this week and next week
Right,
off. So,
right.
yeah.
And,
Not next week? Just this week.
Last week and this week.
Or last week. I'm sorry.
And on July 8th, the Du Bois and King and V-Trans team will be here, and we'll be going through a lot of the final project details and also these merger details, and I think there's gonna be a lot more good news about that.
Yippee.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. And cost savings. It's
Good.
amazing what V-Trans is willing to take on.
Okay. Number 3, selection of contractor for dry well and culvert installation on West Street and East Street. You saw that in your packet.
So as I mentioned in my notes, I did not reveal what the bid is,
Yeah,
just in
keep,
case.
you guys, everybody will keep that to ourselves. So you already know what's on the
What was the final number that Eric came up with, the cost estimate? I wanna say it's
Like
about,
it was
about 20 more than that.
Yeah,
And is that the cost of the material? Or is-
yes. Well, actually, no, that does not include materials.
No, Eric's cost includes the materials.
Right.
So what's the difference? My question is, what's the difference and what's the cost, what's our material cost? Just so that we know if we're in the ballpark of where we want it to be.
Right.
Can we just talk about this in an executive session?
We can.
I know.
Do we have to go into executive session?
I don't,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I think we should talk about it in the executive.
That sounds like a good plan. Okay.
then I don't have to code my,
That's right.
and everybody will know what I'm talking about.
Okay, you saw the memo from the Bristol Conservation Commission, kind of realign your appointments.
I move that we approve their proposal for term limits.
I second.
A second?
Motion and
Raised
second.
to
Is there any discussion? Just, I thought we appointed one more on the last one, the vacant one that says vacant term expires March 2000.
I
Or
think
no, we
that
put,
there is
excuse
still-
me,
there is still
we
a-
put Lloyd on the planning
Yeah.
commission.
On the planning commission.
Not on-
Carl Fenner and
Right.
Melanie Lloyd were the most recent one.
Okay. All right, okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Bristol Rescue Squad's annual coin drop application for July 4th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the only thing I'm gonna say is they need to be done by 8. Last year they were not. You know, so it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock when I came through, that they were still out there. Because my understanding is that they're supposed to be done by 8 o'clock. That was what the discussion was last year. I know there's nothing on here about time frame, but.
I didn't think they started that early.
I don't think they start till 7.
Yeah.
I think that's a little tight, to be honest with you. But what's your pleasure?
I don't remember a time limit on them.
I know they're done before the parade starts.
Yeah, I don't remember now, but I remember that when I came through, it was after the time that they said they'd be done.
But that's their intent, is to
Yeah, they had a
get
catch.
people coming to the parade. Yeah.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Well, what's the board's feeling about a time?
I don't know that we've ever, I don't recall ever giving them a time. I don't.
I wouldn't mind saying you need to be out of the road by the time the parade starts.
Yeah.
I know we had a
Parade
discussion
starts.
about this last year, because I brought it up last year.
You were stuck in traffic?
No, it was just, you know, I just thought it was, I wanted them done before there were so many people coming through town that it was causing a traffic jam. Because you're already being rerouted around, you know, at that point, when I came through.
Oh, you're
already
rerouted by
through.
8 o'clock, right, Ted? For the
Yeah, you can't
outhouse
go through
race or
the-
9? Outhouse race started at 8 or 9?
9.
9. About 9. So if after 9 o'clock, you are rerouted.
So if they're starting at 7 and 9, it gives them 2 hours and not enough time. I mean, how long are you guys usually out with the fire
All
department?
day.
All day.
Yeah, all day long. I thought 7
I
to
know, I
8
just-
was just too tight.
Yeah, well, they're not going to make any money, it's not gonna be worth their while to do it from 7 to 8.
Yeah.
Because the only people coming in are the ones that are doing
The
the
run.
5K
Yeah.
race.
Yeah.
They're gonna run it, Peter. Right down, they'll run it, no. So, any more discussion on that, or you wanna leave it alone? What's your pleasure, people?
Their discretion.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the
Yeah,
rescue?
you're not the one that has to ride into town on that end.
Come in early,
Right
man.
into town.
They're on our end too.
I thought they were just on West
No,
Street
no.
and East
No,
Street.
no,
They're on West Street too?
Yeah.
All those in favor of allowing the rescue squad to coin drop on July 4th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I walk, but I always give them money too.
You walk out the middle of the road?
Yeah. No, I make them walk over to the sidewalk.
Tasha, who seconded that? Tasha, who seconded?
I just,
Ted. Is this your agenda? Okay, approval of minutes, June 10th and 13th. I just got a couple of corrections.
And Michelle pointed out that the adjournment needs to be updated because she wasn't there. And
I noticed that.
yeah, I had used last year's
And mine
as a
didn't
template,
spirit.
and so,
You were there in spirit.
yeah. So I just overlooked correcting that. So,
And, let me see where I was here. Got it written down.
June 10th first, or are we?
Yeah, let's do June 10th first. Tasha had, you got Du Bois and Kind down instead of Du Bois and King.
yes.
And,
That's because they're paying in kind.
yes, maybe that's right.
Salary under the CSA thing for the recreation department. I can't spell brush apparently, so
okay,
that needs to be,
all right.
I told.
Vegetable.
VET.
No, it's vegetable.
I know, yeah.
Hold on, I'm trying to find the minutes. You got them right there. Can I go over June 10th ones? And I read the number 2 on the 3rd page, page 3 of 5. Updating Main Street lighting, sidewalk, blah, blah, blah. V-Trans makes a presentation. V-Trans will be responsible for the construction oversight management. Number 2 on page 3, V2. And then the 3rd liner, V-Trans makes a presentation. V-Trans will be responsible for construction oversight management, traffic control, and bidding process. The only thing the town would have to do is pay the bill. I'd like a little more definition on just have to do is pay the bill.
That's what you guys.
I know, that's what we said. I'd like to say, pay our portion
What
of
you
the bill.
said.
Right.
Not just pay the, we're gonna pay the bill for the whole thing? For the construction, lighting, sidewalk and paving projects?
I think that's what was said though.
Right.
If you want the minutes to be accurate.
But it has update Main Street lighting, sidewalk and paving project. It says all we have to do is pay the bill. I'd like to say our portion of the sidewalk and lighting project. Can it say that?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you think it just, we read back later on, they'll say, gee, they want to pay for the whole thing? They're pretty generous.
Okay.
Maybe I'm being, here again, Peter, I don't be a little picky on it, but I read that today, going, I don't want to pay the whole bill.
Our portion.
Jennifer doesn't like to write those great big checks.
Enough money, it's okay.
Yeah. So, I'd entertain a motion with those 2 corrections, or anybody else got any more? Michelle? Did you
I
send it
haven't
through your
had a chance to
machine?
really read it, so I'm gonna trust you guys, which is scary.
Okay. You haven't put it through your machine at
Now we
work?
know it. Peter's read it.
Okay, all those in favor?
And who
So-
moved it?
I move it.
And Peter second, or Ted?
I'll second it.
Said with those 2 corrections?
With corrections, yes.
With corrections? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, now the 13th, the road trip.
Yeah, the only thing I noticed was the second by Michelle.
And for the camera, I don't remember Eric saying, this road's pretty rough. We must be in New Haven. I don't remember saying that. He put that in the paper and
Oh.
I see that in the paper. And then he kiddingly says, Christopher Ross says, no, New Haven. You have good road stewards.
I couldn't remember where we were towards the end of the trip when we were down along the river in the other town, the parking.
Cove Road.
Cove Road.
Yeah.
Cove Road.
Yeah, Cove Road, Bunker Street.
And was that New Haven or Lincoln?
That was in New Haven.
The
Okay.
Non-existent.
non-existent,
Well-
and now they park on the road.
Well, that's Eric's concern because we plow that as part of our share thing. And
Nowhere for the snow.
no place to put the snow.
Okay, just looking at these one more time. Did we give Eric some direction on that culvert down the Lord's Prayer Rock? We have it down here, Lord's Prayer Rock. Eric questioned whether the culvert under the road should be replaced before next year's paving.
I question whether it should be replaced.
You question that? If it should be, or?
If it should be, he was gonna inspect it.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, no, yeah.
all right,
We did not give him direction.
all right, okay.
We gave him direction to inspect it.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any more corrections besides Michelle's? Or Michelle not being there? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I'm gonna abstain, since I wasn't there.
Pete Coffey did, and Ted seconded.
He did this,
Okay.
and Ted seconded.
I don't know, did I make a motion to adjourn? Chair, on that one? I don't remember.
I have to look back at my notes.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty,
I'll look back at my notes.
okay.
on that. I'll
Okay,
find it.
accounts payable, we've gone around,
There's 2 special events permits in
and they're not on here.
Special
Events.
events.
Liquor
I know.
licenses, still liquor licenses.
They're there, he has them.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, they're in there.
What's the amount?
A lot.
It's always a lot.
Too much than not enough.
But that one we paid.
$170,628.67.
You take out that paving, it'd have been pretty small.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, there's, okay, we didn't sign that one, right?
No.
That's a special event
They're both
permit.
Yeah.
special events.
Why?
There should be 3 maybe,
Yeah, there was 3.
one for the Legion,
There's a,
one for
One for the Legion, one for Hogback.
On back upstairs.
Hogback upstairs, and
Yeah.
then it's a revised permit you approved before, but they had the date wrong for the Grand Fondo race.
Oh, Grand Fondo.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I looked at it, I said, boy, they're really quick in the envelope on this
Well,
one.
they had already done it, and then I got an email over the weekend saying
These
that
two?
they had the date wrong, so they had to resubmit.
Okay. All those in favor, well, we don't do the liquor licenses, so.
They aren't liquor license, they're special event permits, so we do
Well,
have to.
that's my point.
Oh.
The agenda says liquor license, doesn't say special
But that's
events.
what they're for, they're a liquor
They
license.
say special event, they don't say special events, so do we approve them? The agenda should have said special events.
We typically do for,
Yes,
some,
If they combine with a,
it is,
well,
I had never thought
Right.
it changed, I thought it was all the same.
it is a liquor license.
it is a liquor license for the special event. Okay, select board concerns. Michelle, we'll start.
Well, we have to approve them though. We have to
I
approve
thought we
those
did.
special event
Okay,
permits.
all those, I'd entertain a motion in a second for the special events liquor licenses / liquor licenses.
Well, you need to look at them, Julie. We need to say who they are and what the time. All right, listen.
Okay, we'll start.
this is all new to him.
Okay,
Take
so
it
we
easy.
have Hogback Mountain Brewing for the Grift concert up in Holly Hall. July 26th, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And as I say, by the glass sales will be conducted within the main area of the concert venue with clear signage and controlled access. Beer will be sold by 12-ounce glasses, and wine will be sold in 8-ounce serving.
How late does that event go?
10.
So,
So are they serving until 10?
Did you just read?
Yeah,
well,
6 to
10 is
10.
when they're serving to it, that was my, oh,
Do we know?
hours of operation.
Yeah, 6 to 10. So if they, actually, the concert gets over at 10, they're gonna be there longer, they're just not gonna be serving.
Right, but do we want them serving it? If the
Until
concert
10?
gets over at 10, do we want them serving until 10? Because we don't want people up getting booze just.
Like at 10 o'clock as they're gonna walk out the door.
Bruce is looking up a brochure.
This is really stretching in here, but. I can't see the time. We were trying to look at the dog picture.
Well, what we should say is we approve it with them stopping an hour, or an hour before.
Bruce, what's your pleasure? How long before the concert's over
It's
do you
over.
want them stopping serving? Or would you prefer?
Half an hour is good.
Half an hour. I'll make a motion, we approve the permit with serving stopping a half an hour prior to the end of the concert.
Do you want me to write that on here?
Just hand that on there.
Yes, please.
Second.
So it says they are, concerts 6 to 10, or the serving is 6 to
It
10?
says hours of operation 6 to 10.
We don't
So we're
know
not
if
sure when the
that's.
concerts.
Okay.
They could be concurrent.
They could be, or they could be stopping early, but they're gonna stop early.
Right. Half an hour,
Okay.
I've heard.
Want to do it separately, or you want to do them? That was a
No, we do
motion
them
for that?
So separately, yeah.
Okay, we've got a motion to end by,
And second.
stop serving half hour before concert ends. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay.
According to the Facebook event, it says 6 to 10. The concert starts at 7,
So they'll start.
but I think they start serving at 6.
Okay.
American Legion. 42 by 100 fenced area behind the building and enclosed 75 by 75 area on side of new addition.
It's
Just outside consumption.
It's outside.
Permit, outside consumption from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. So, days request to July 3rd, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
So moved.
Is a second?
Second?
Motion.
Give it to Ted.
Give it to Ted.
I got enough, you can have one.
Any more
They do that every
discussion?
year.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, any more?
Okay, the last one, request to cater malt, vignettes and spirituous liquors. Wood Belly Pizza, this is for Vermont Grand Fonda Post Ride Party. 11:30 to 8 p.m. Bristol Rec Field, 6/29/19. That's all it says.
We want them to stop serving a half an hour prior to the end of the event there too, I would imagine.
Yeah,
You said 11:30 to 8:30?
11:30 to 8,
Okay, 8. And on June what?
29.
It'll be like Saturday.
Yep, I see the signs down Pine Street. Bike event this weekend.
Two even closing.
Yeah, they're on Berkeley Road too.
Turn Middlebury.
Okay,
Signed all
there's a
over.
motion there and a second on that.
So moved.
Second?
And a motion and a second for Grand Fondo special event. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, anything else? Select board's concerns. I guess I started with you, Michelle.
I have a quick question. The place, the low-income community trust down by River Road, they got it fenced off. Are they doing renovations now?
Yeah,
They
did
did
once
start
over.
those? Okay, so everybody's out of there?
I don't know that.
Well, they've got it completely shut off. People can't get in and out of there.
Okay,
So I'm
what the hell?
assuming they must have
Relocated.
relocated them.
I remember something about that. They were finding other places for the tenants so that could upgrade.
Okay, anything else, Michelle?
No, I think that's all I have.
Peter?
I'm good.
Peter?
I was quizzed about the corners of Main Street and why there are no flowers there this year.
There weren't really flowers there last year.
Yeah, there were.
It was it lavender?
There was
There's a
color.
And it didn't
Combination.
come up. And
It was
they didn't come up
lilies
this year.
and.
Bristol Core, isn't it? Or
No,
else?
it's not.
Is it us?
Let me ask you,
I
why
mean,
isn't it,
well, so
why
there
isn't
have
it
been
Bristol
talk-
Core? Why
There
isn't it?
have been, there had been talk, I think at the end of last year, because we were trying, the difficulty was trying to find someone to weed them
Weed them,
throughout the
right.
summer, because the flowers grew, they looked pretty, and then they got covered with weeds, and then they looked bad, and so there was kind of discussion back and forth about that, and so, obviously Ian's not here tonight, but I had said to him just by chance, like, is this something Bristol Core could adopt with the flower baskets? As a thought, like, to do sponsorship that way, but I don't know if it ever gained any traction, because it was just a quick.
flowers, so apparently it didn't.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
whoever has to say if you want the weed, then.
If you want to plant them,
I will do that.
plan on doing them.
We also talked about maybe barrels instead that can be planted and taken in off-season.
Or
And
not.
or not, definitely before plowing. And before Tebbs, what's her, drawing a blank on her first
Claire?
name? Claire Tebbs at the Addison County Regional Planning Commission. Her background is landscape architecture, and before she left, there had been conversation about, she was interested in working with Bristol Core to come up with a design plan. But then other things came along for her and she's no longer there. So, yeah, but there isn't a plan yet.
Peter, anything else?
And the only other comment was that Pocock, the music was extremely loud. It could be heard on the north end of town.
Really?
It was last year too.
I
didn't hear
can't
it.
I
say
could
that I
hear
heard
it, well, we could hear it. because we're
I mean,
close.
Yeah.
I could hear it because I was down there.
No, but
Okay.
My dog could hear it. He was
I was
down
trying to think, I was at, we were at drop-offs and I couldn't hear it everybody.
there. We always can hear it.
You're pretty close though.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's it.
okay, Ted?
Two things. The curb stop in front of Bob Spofford's house was replaced because there was a very serious leak there. But the curb stop is now sticking up above the swale, probably that far. And if somebody doesn't do something about it before winter, it's gonna get clipped by a snowplow.
it probably, they're in an 18-inch sleeve. It may be able to be just stepped on and pushed down.
I don't know that.
Or
that
it may
was
be all
they
the way
didn't-
out.
Yeah.
Or maybe
I was
all the
right
way
there when they were doing it, and I was surprised, but they did say they didn't think they were gonna be able to push it down. They're gonna have to cut it off and thread it. And
So
that's
it's
gotta
all-
get done.
So it's all the way down.
Yeah, it can't be forgotten, or that's gonna be just
I can talk.
Cleaned off
sheared
and I'll
off.
have to dig it up again.
Yeah,
Bob Staff.
Bob Spofford.
Where does he live? I forget now.
Garfield Street. And the other thing, I have some real serious concerns about Eagle Park and that slab.
Slab.
The one
Oh, up here.
Want to see?
Up here, I'm sorry.
that wash around it?
Well, then,
Okay, that's what it looked like as you walk down the, I'll pass this around so you can see it.
Was this during the rainstorm the other day?
It was after the
After the
rainstorm the other day. This is standing at the upstream side, and you can see where the fill, come on, come on, come on. Oh, why won't this? There we go. You can see that the fill has been all washed out from underneath the upstream side, and
You should be able to just slide sideways.
yeah, I know. I'm going too fast. There's the long edge, if you don't mind. Go ahead, make it work.
I'll let Michelle make it work, because I don't.
That's the long
There you
edge,
go.
that's all undermined as well. There we go. That's the long edge. Right there.
That's what we're gonna repair, or they already did repair? So what
no,
we're
it hasn't
gonna,
been done.
No, all they did was pull the junk off of it.
okay.
So it just, it needs
I
to
saw
be filled
Valerie's
around it.
It needs more than that, because this is gonna continue to happen,
No,
and
that's-
continue to happen every time it rains.
To you.
That is a
Donnie Sargent
massive
just did a
slab,
up
full
there,
of,
isn't he?
full of steel
Isn't
and
that the one
concrete.
Donnie Sargent just
Yes,
did?
yes.
Last year, yeah.
And what's gonna happen if this continues is that massive slab is gonna tip. And then what are you gonna do with it?
It's gonna go down the river.
I didn't figure that concrete there was gonna solve all.
No, I didn't either. And,
Joan,
That's not.
you wanna see?
give it back to Jolie.
So anything else, Tim?
Huh?
Anything else? All right.
That's not enough.
What we do.
Something else has to be done. I know that someone has said, stuff some what?
Shore pack.
Stuff
That's what
some
was,
sure pack.
that was what was put around it last
Yes,
time.
and that's what washed out.
Yeah, it's gonna.
And it's gonna
Well,
continue
they make
to
sure we'll
wash
take
out.
it.
I mean, you're not gonna put anything that's gonna, you're not gonna put anything that's gonna stay there. That was the reason he wanted the concrete. I figured
Yeah.
it was easier to put the gravel back when it washed away than it was to, but. Anyhow.
Okay.
I
Anything
don't
else?
think, I don't know.
Okay. I just got a question for Bruce. The lettering on the door, or no lettering on the door?
That's being fixed.
Okay, just decided to change it again, or?
Yeah.
Okay. And, I was looking for Randy the other night because he wanted me to move his fifth wheel for his father-in-law, and I called over there. We haven't changed the phone message yet. You were still, hello, this is Bristol Police Department. You need to talk to Lieutenant Nason or Sergeant.
I don't call that number.
Okay. Well, I just thought, maybe that ought to be changed. He's been the chief now for 8 months. So, that's all I, and I had one more thing. I promised the people, and I can't remember, they asked me this weekend. I did talk with Steve DuBois, the chair of New Haven, about that corner down there. And he was under the impression that, no, they went, the road commissioner went and talked with that, not the road foreman, the road commissioner went and talked with that lady, and she's not to pile anything more, or any iron stakes in the wintertime. So if you have no more iron issues. That was on the road trip. That you were there the seconded, but you weren't there, so, okay.
So I'd also like to thank Mr. Clark, because I saw him cleaning up the fountain this morning.
Yep.
He does every day.
He does every day. No one
I
does.
don't see him every day, but I did see him this morning.
Okay, so that's all I had. So, your administrator's report?
So, speaking of Eagle Park, I sent around a note from Pete Domenico, his interest in trying to continue to repair that area, and he plans to get a quote from Donnie Sargent about a potential future repair and slab extension. And he wants to try to get some of that shore pack installed sooner rather than later, so that the park is usable.
Some will show up there tomorrow.
Okay.
All they gotta do is get it down there.
There you go.
Great. Okay. And then just as a follow-up to the note I made in my report about, speaking of Eagle Park, and that 14-second video that I posted on Facebook last week. Looking at it now, let's see.
I'm gonna start calling you a never Trumper. You're twitting and
No,
and everything
only,
else.
only with a purpose. No, it's not willy-nilly here. But apparently it caught people's attention because back on Thursday or so, or Friday, it had reached over 10,000 people. And today it's reached over 14,700 people and was shared 178 times. It's like,
I'll have to see that one.
wow. I'm just boggled by that. But anyway,
Okay.
so a lot of people are interested in Eagle Park and the river.
Well, they're interested in
Yeah.
Maybe you could show
the
them.
water.
Yeah.
Maybe you can show them a picture of getting down to the bridge is very difficult at Memorial Park, and maybe get some
That
fun.
GoFundMe page.
Yeah. That's an option.
Crazier things have happened.
Sure,
That's all I
they
have.
started a GoFundMe page to build the wall, and they started a GoFundMe page to buy ladders to get over it, and they both did really well.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Correspondence reports or anything? I just looked at the revolving loan fund again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got that one.
Call in some notes, Jennifer. Let's call in some notes. I know,
It's really only one.
Okay, there's only one.
Yeah. The rest of them
It's
are
really-
pretty much in line.
And we have the cruiser
Yeah.
bid.
yeah, you're right, we have a cruiser bid. So we did get Bruce wants to speak on that, we did get one bid on that. You had 3 or 4 people I know look at it.
We had 3 to 4 look at it.
Everything, so it could go anytime now, light bar is off and everything's off it? Okay.
I make a motion to accept Chief Mason's recommendations.
One
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to accept the chief's bid or recommendation to sell it. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Righty.
Can't believe he's not gonna let it go with a light bar.
Do anything about that.
You get
No.
just a little more assistance, free help.
So that
Sell for a couple $100 more, Jake.
nasty notes are sent out or something?
So I'm told.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's no teeth in those nasty notes, what's it good to do?
I'm not.
Okay.
Okay, you wanna go, Michelle, you wanna read it?
Hey, make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel and contract negotiations for 1 VSA section 313.
Second.
So motion and a second, all those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? We are in.